Hello and welcome back to the 5th day of our Pivot to Grow series, all about sales and marketing. We are on our last day, team. We've had hundreds of you amazing MSPs tuning in this entire week, and it has been packed with information, and it's just been really, really cool. So if you are just tuning in today, I know we were having hundreds each day pile into registration. So I'm ANDRA HEDDEN, CMO of Marketopia, joined by the one and only
Matt Solomon, Vice President of Business Development at ID Agent, as well as Kaseya.
Yes, and so we've been co-hosting Pivot to Grow for you this week, and we have absolutely loved all of the notes that you've been sending. I have gotten, I can't even count how many notes I have from each of you, and it has been awesome to hear your stories. You've been sharing stories about your own growth, and awesome, I'm getting stories about, oh, we just closed 3 new clients. We're continuing to sell and market. I mean, the notes we're getting are just unbelievable, and then the feedback on the speakers and the event has been awesome. So keep that coming and keep that coming our way, and we'll share out some of the things that we are getting, and definitely one of the housekeeping things before we start to kick off, use the hashtag Pivot to Grow. So one of the items that Matt and I have done a little talking about is we are doing giveaways today. So we've got 2 hours of content like every other day, and we'll talk about that. We've got the LinkedIn ladies, and then we have an amazing CMO panel that's going to pop up, followed by, stick with us once we hit 5 o'clock. And I know many of you have stayed the whole day, each and every day. Stay with us at 5 o'clock, and we are going to have on the Quarantine Kids, and we're going to hear about a pivot in business there, and they're going to play some awesome music for us. And then we're going to give away $3,000 worth of giveaways, and it's going to be awesome. So stick with us for that, and we're definitely really excited. When you use the hashtag, remember, $2,000 are going to be given away by the 20, an amazing sponsor of ours, and $1,000 of marketing services are going to be given to you by Marketopia if you are using the hashtag Pivot to Grow, and it's a cherry on top if you tag Marketopia. But I will be going back, and team will be looking to see who used it the most in LinkedIn, and then you will be awarded $1,000 in marketing services. So Matt, jump us into today and what we're going to experience.
Yeah, and first, a couple things I want to give out a shout out to our sponsors who've been our sponsors for the event. Obviously the 20, they went a couple days ago and were just amazing. Channel Pro Network for really supporting us, and ITO Compass and Everything MSP. So those are our MSP communities on Facebook that are part of this larger channel family, and we really appreciate the support they gave. And Andrew, I almost want to take a step back and just appreciate the event that's been pulled off. To be honest, I'm like super proud of this because we pulled off an event which is 100% value. There was no charge to the MSPs for coming. There was no sales pitches. This was just value add. And I think it's an amazing testament to a lot of hard work. And I know Dana's behind the scenes, and everybody will get a chance to hear from Dana on the CMO panel. But it's just something just want to take a moment and just say I'm incredibly proud to have partnered with you, because I think this was an awesome event, and we've heard so much feedback from everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we certainly would appreciate, again, as Andrea mentioned, provide us that feedback, because if you want us to be able to do this again, that feedback is critical to making that happen. I've put up our links to our LinkedIn, so connect with us. If you're already connected, send us a note and just tell us what the week has meant to you, or even one session, whatever it is. We appreciate that feedback. Today we've got really just closing out the week with some really heavy hitters as well, and it just worked out this way. We talked about it yesterday. LinkedIn's really been a theme all week throughout a lot of the sessions and how to utilize it.
Absolutely.
And Bryn and Sally Joe have been some of our favorite guests at ID Agents hosted over the last couple of weeks. And Dana, you can probably bring them in as we're talking here. And we've already done 2 sessions with them. This is the 3rd time we're bringing them back because people can't get enough of them. Hey, Bryn, how are you?
Hi.
Hello, Bryn.
I can't get enough of you guys. So
hi,
so
Sally.
this time you're not going to have me jumping into the session, but we're so delighted to have you guys. Thank you so much for joining us.
We're thrilled to be here. Absolutely.
Perfect. Well, we're excited to get your session going. And as Matt said, there has been such a great lead up. I know you're going to be talking about why LinkedIn is so powerful, particularly in B2B. And there's been such a great lead up. I keep looking forward to you ladies popping on because everyone has just laid little breadcrumbs for you all the way through the event. So this is a great way to tag onto the end. And Matt and I are actually going to jump off and let you dig into yourself. He might do a little bit more of an introduction to you, and then we'll come back on afterwards to do some Q&A.
Yeah,
Perfect.
excellent. Yeah, and if you ever need us to come back in, just shout my name. I'll pop back in. But you'll obviously be able to share your screen. But again, with the three of us have joined each other several times now, and again, the feedback has just been unbelievable. People just enjoy you guys so much. One, you're super fun, but obviously super knowledgeable about LinkedIn, and it's just been a theme this week. So I think this is just a perfect session. And then on the back end of that, we're going to have ANDRA, Dana, and Crystal from the 20 joining us for a CMO panel. So I will hand over the session to you guys now.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we're really excited to be here. Thanks for having us. Hi, Sally Jo.
Hi, Bryn Tillman.
So we are
glad to be here. Always glad to be working with Matt.
Absolutely. I love that with that we've been branded with, as the LinkedIn ladies. So here we are. So everyone, we are going to go through a dozen tips for social selling with LinkedIn for technology professionals specifically. So we're really excited to go through this. I think we've really pulled out, Sally Jo and I spent some time really pulling out 12 areas that we think if you implement can have a huge impact on your business. And we're going to get going into that. The agenda, if you just want to kind of go through, we really have 3 tips for 4 sections inside of LinkedIn. Oh, and before I have you get started, Sally Jo, I like to say to everyone, if you could put all your questions in Q&A and not in chat, because there are a couple times I might have you do some things in chat and we'll lose questions. So actual questions you want us to answer, put into Q&A. If we don't get them in real time, we will definitely get those at the end. Sally Jo, talk about our agenda today.
Our agenda, yes, agenda on a Friday, love it. Okay, number 1, we're going to review your profile, because if you're going to drive business to your profile, it better be a value add profile and not read like a resume. Number 2, we're going to talk about nurturing the connections that you have, especially in these times. You want to continue to build out those relationships. Number 3, we're going to talk about prospecting. Well, who doesn't know what that word means, but how to do it on LinkedIn and make it really effective and efficient. And number 4, engaging. How do you engage effectively on LinkedIn? What's the steps? What's the process? What can you do that's really going to get the other person's attention?
Love it. So this whole program started in the beginning of the quarantine. Not this program, but this quote. We really took a look at how we were going to market on LinkedIn and social selling, and recognized we needed to pull back sales and drive more conversations and relationships. So although this was really meant as what do we do during the pandemic when we were all kind of self-quarantined in our home, we looked at this quote as we were building out this course, and we said, you know what, this is still good now, and this will continue to really be the way that we should go after business all the time, right? So talk about this a little bit.
Yeah, so now's the time to build relationships and show empathy and be a resource, and the sale will come. You know, the timing of when people buy changes all the time, right? Like when the need arises. Well, when their need arises and they've gone and done all their research, how is your company and your name going to rise to the top? It's going to be doing that by starting to build relationships with them now. And by showing empathy and again, being a resource, really critical resource in this time. And we're going to talk about what that really means going forward, but not, and we've always had this philosophy, Brenda. This is not really a new philosophy for us, but it's a good time to step back and reflect that you don't want to be pushing product and pitching. And it's just a really great time to, again, to build that relationships and those value.
Absolutely. So the goal of LinkedIn for social selling is to convert content and connections to conversations. That's the bottom line. We're not selling here. We're creating interest, intrigue, educating, getting people to move closer and closer to our solution. and ultimately raise their hand and say, we want to talk, right? And so that's really important. And the way that we need to do that is to understand what our prospects and clients are facing today, which, by the way, may be very different than 12 weeks ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their challenges may be very different. They may be looking, how are we going to bring people back into the office with technology? Is there going to be a shift where there's a hybrid of people home half the time, at work half the time? What are we doing on cybersecurity? What are we doing on, there's so many other challenges that they hadn't thought about before. They didn't think about every single employee needs to have a secure laptop before this happened, right? So what's going on in their world, we need to understand. So in order for us to move forward in LinkedIn, and we're not even getting to the tips yet, this is just the foundation here, right? Is what are their current challenges? Really define them. What has changed in their business? Part of this, and this is something I've been only talking about for a couple of days, but what is the challenge their clients are facing that they have to solve? Right? So it's not only what is our client's challenge, but what is their client's challenge, because that will affect, communication, client services, all the other things that our technology feeds into, right? So what's happening there? How is your buyer personally impacted? Quick story, I'm going to bring it down, but I think it's worth talking about, is humanizing the conversation. I had a leadership coach who, the first thing we did is we went back to all of her past clients to just build a relationship and connect with them. And the first thing when she said, hey, what's your biggest challenge? That her client laughed and said, my biggest challenge is I have a 5th grader that I'm homeschooling and I don't understand 5th grade math. So after that interaction, and she talked and brought other insights about leadership and how to lead remotely, she went to YouTube and pulled down a video that teaches adults how to learn the new 5th grade math and sent it to him. So these are things that we can do to build relationships even beyond. I just want to throw that out. What does their team look like? Did they have furloughs? Do they have people that are coming back? Are they going to be hiring differently? How does that affect their technology and their onboarding and their training of, is there now, upgrades to software? Are there new modules for remote security? Like, what's happening and what's all the training they need? So I know I could go on, and Sally Jo and I could go on and on and on forever, but ultimately we need to understand what's the new solution they need, and this is it, what insights and value can you bring them in their current state? So you guys have homework to do, because all of LinkedIn and engaging and prospecting is going to rely on you being able to provide insights and value that drive them closer and closer to your solution, right? And if you don't articulate that you understand their current challenges, it's going to be hard to attract them. So earning the right to have a conversation. Sally Jo, this is your slide, baby. You love this.
Yeah, I do. I'm always talking about earning the right. I'm sure you've had those folks on LinkedIn that go out and start pitching, and it's like, wait, stop. I don't even know who you are, what you do. I don't even know what, I'm just not interested. So you really do have to earn the right to, you want to end up having a good conversation with prospects. It's always that human-to-human contact that's important. But what do you do up front to earn the right to have the conversation? If they've watched your video or they've read your blog, did they stand back and go, boy, that was worth the 1.5 minutes I took to read that, or the 5 minutes it took to read that? Did I get real information that might have me thinking differently about it?
Mm-hmm. So I love that. And you kind of transitioned into my favorite, which is the ask offer ratio.
Right.
Into it. So earning the right. So what is the ask offer ratio? Every single time we ask anything of our prospect or client, watch a video, read a blog, schedule 15 minutes with me, any time that we're asking them to invest anything, even 15 seconds to read a quote, there is a reaction at the end of that, one of 3. Number 1, that was bait and switch. How many times have you clicked through a blog and gotten, the title was worth more than the content inside, right? You didn't get what you expected.
Yeah.
That is, I would say, and I shouldn't throw out, like, I feel like it's 80 to 90% of the stuff I click through falls under, I got nothing. That was a waste of my time.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's about, so let's say I'm calling it 80 and I'm saying, this is my experience. These are not real percentages. I just want you to get a visual. 9% of the time, or actually 19% of the time, I go, that was pretty good. I got a couple of nuggets, and then I move on. And 1% of the time I get, whoa, that's cool. I'm curious. I want more. You intrigued me. I'm compelled to do something. And that's where we want to be, including your profile. So talk about this.
So I love this quote. It's really one of our favorite. 74% of buyers choose the sales rep that was first, can I underline that? First to offer value and insights. And this is a quote from Corporate Visions. So as we go through the rest of this program, I want you to think about that. 74%. So if you are the first one off the block, that makes them go, whoa, that was really good. It's really making me think maybe a little bit differently. Believe me, they're going to come back and remember you.
Yeah, and that's what we call moving our profile from a resume to a resource. And so that's where we start earning the right. So talk about tip number 1, profile.
Tip number 1. Tip number 1. Profile headline. Number 1, who you help. So first of all, the headline used to be called a title. It's changed for a number of years, but obviously the old one, most of you have, president of XYZ company or channel partner or whatever, but they don't really care about that. So we are suggesting, number 1, who do you help? Because that's when you're going to get their attention right away. How you help? What do you do to help them? And number 3, why do they care? Mm-hmm. So look at the difference between the two. The old is, I'm a president of this XYZ. The new one is, I'm empowering growing companies to ensure business continuity through managed IT and cybersecurity support. Boom. If they're interested in that, then they're going to look further into your profile and you.
So let's break it down, right? Empowering growing companies. So who do we help? Growing companies. How do we do that? We're empowering them to ensure business continuity. How do we do that? Through managed IT and cybersecurity support. So that's the breakdown. We help growing companies to ensure business continuity is what we do, and we do through managed IT and cybersecurity, right? So feel free to steal this. You're welcome to, but or put it in your own voice, but think about how much more compelling this is. And when you see this as a headline, our goal is to get them to keep reading, to say, oh, and president of the ABC company isn't going to be compelling, but this will get them to move forward. So I'm just going to go live. I guess
right.
I need to go live for each of these, but your headline, well, let's talk about this for a second. Your headline typically is 120 characters. That takes me to about just about here. 120 characters on the desktop. There's a little hack in the iOS. I always say I think that LinkedIn, their iOS programmer might be dyslexic because you get 210 characters. So I have, who do I help? Transforming, well, let's go to Sally Joe's actually, because yours is perfect for our audience, because this is who you help, right? So transforming the way channel partners, sales teams grow their business by leveraging LinkedIn to convert connections to conversations. Now, if you're still virtual, or if you think it's, working virtual, but we have virtual instructor-led programs for sales teams that are remote, because we know they're not doing classroom training. So if you feel like your business is held back a little because of, that we're not getting in front of people, you can say on-site and virtual support, right? So that they know you can work virtually too.
Yep.
Next.
Be careful how you use that word hack. Remember who we're talking to, Britt. Sorry. Okay.
True. It is a glitch in the system that we are taking advantage of.
All right.
Every time. She's in your world deeply. Tip number 2.
All right. Tip number 2, yeah, the about summary. So, you know, as we keep talking about being a resource, don't have it read with the I statement, like I have X amount of years of experience. Think about when you go to a networking event and you meet someone and they go, let me tell you about myself. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, you know, I don't really want to know just yet. But if they start talking like, you know, if they just start asking questions and sort of understand where you're coming from first, then the conversation can begin. So your about section should read like a blog. You want to start with the challenges that Bryn reviewed, maybe not the personal ones, but the business challenges that they're facing. And then you want to keep this information vendor agnostic throughout. You want to have one line on how you help, sort of a summary line on how you help. And your call to action said, let's, you know, could be, let's have a conversation. I'd be happy to share more. Make sure your contact information is there. And the bonus is consider a calendar link. We use Calendly, but there are a lot of other options out there. It just makes it really easy for them to schedule with you.
So I want to go back to point number 3, because I think this is where everybody gets lost.
Yep, agreed.
Here are the challenges. So here are the big challenges that we now know our clients are facing. And then they want to go to, we help people do X, Y, and Z. We fix this, we do that. And what Sally Jo is saying when she mentions vendor agnostic insights is, and that's why it's blog-like, is yes, of course, what you're about to share with them is what you can do for them, but change your language from here's how we help to here's what you need to do. Mm-hmm. So instead of saying you can buy from us to fix this, just start planting seeds. Here are the things you need to do in order to get through this recovery period or prepare for, you know, any future quarantine issues again, right? Like, what do we need to do? Like, not, I don't want to say generic. I mean, you want an aha moment, but you don't want to say, we help you do this, we help you. As you're guiding them through this, they will know this is what you do, or why are you talking about it?
Right, right. Yeah, free tips that can help them.
And aha ones that get them to say, woohoo, that's awesome.
Right.
And let's talk about profile experience for a moment, because I love how this can be positioned. Do you want to take this?
Well, I think the big thing here is, you know, now if they have read this far, I'm going to sort of jump back a little bit. If they've read this far on your profile, now you have earned the right now to start talking about your company. So this is the place where you have the ability to do that, but you don't want to just, again, go out and start pitching. You want to talk about, here's how you help companies. Here's the things that you do. So it relates back to that about section where you talked about the challenges. Answer some of those questions now very clearly on how you can help. Bryn, you talk about the why, and then also adding your deliverables and solutions and media. Now, this is a lot, and Bryn, I assume you're going to go live and show them how they can put so much information into one space.
So, you know, we start here, you know, Sally Jo's, her position as principal, and a bit about the company. But if you see here, we've got threaded together our deliverables. So this is a little bit about the company. And then we go into LinkedIn training for vendors and channel partners, value-centric profile development, content for sales. These are the things that we sell, right? We've now earned the right where people go, wow, I learned a lot. How do we hire them, right? What can we do? So this is where you can break down cybersecurity, you know, IT training for teams, networking support, like all the things that you might offer as an MSP, like whatever, you know, that you're going to break that down. And then you can add content to support that. So, you know, this is additional content that supports any of, whether you collateral or links to pages on your website, you can start to support that. You can also add, which we didn't talk about on featured, because this was only 12 tips. Now it's a baker's dozen, because you can add a feature section. You can see here, Sally Jo was on a podcast. I'm not sure, VAR Insights, were you quoted in that? That would be pretty cool. So there's some content.
I wrote an article, yeah.
Woohoo! I'm going to go read that afterwards, right? So you can start to highlight some of that on your profile too. So just, you know, think about going beyond, this is my job responsibility.
Right. Right. Because remember, how much do they care about that?
Yeah, so nurture your connections. Big deal. These are your existing connections that you've been ignoring, but you probably have a ton of them. So we're going to show you how to search your existing connections to identify the people that you might want to meet.
Or re-engage with, or if you not engage with them at all, or yeah.
Way better, re-engage, absolutely. So this is our search bar up here, and if you click on people and all filters, we can really dive down. So we want to start with our existing connections, the people we're already connected to, and maybe you care about your location or United States. I care about English-speaking profiles. That's my criteria. So I go in first degree English, actually profiles don't speak, English written profiles. And then I go down and I can say, the title of the people that I want to meet. So you can put in business owners or CIOs or CTOs or, CISOs or whomever it is that you're looking to connect with, and then you hit apply. Once you do that, now this is a stupid list. I'm going to bring this down from all filters from English speaking to Philadelphia and New York, just so it's a manageable list. And I go down to 680, although we do work globally even, but so that's 680 first degree connections that meet my criteria. These are my first degree connections. I can now go down and do lots of different things with them, and we're going to show you a couple in just a minute. But keep in mind, this is such a great way, especially if you have thousands of connections, to really drill down to the exact types of people that you want to meet. So one of the things we can do to nurture them is to give them a kudos for something. And we have tons of things. In fact, maybe.
Well, this is endorsement.
Oh, we didn't do kudos. We skipped kudos.
We skipped. We're going to get back in kudos. Kudos somebody.
But we did a webinar with Matt a couple weeks ago that dives down into even more of what we're going to show you. So maybe somewhere along the line, we can get you a replay of that. So kudos and endorsements, I'll do both at the same time since I slipped up. Thank you for seeing that. So let's say Heather Eisenman, I want to get on her radar. And I actually worked with her, Sally Jo and I both worked with her years ago. And I look, and she's actually an EVP of sales. I can shit and I go at a company, ooh, maybe we should reach out to her. Actually, I just had a conversation with her coincidentally. But, let's say, because I worked with her years ago and she was awesome, I can go to the more button and I can either give kudos, which is a public thank you, or I can recommend by going down. So let me just show you the kudos for a moment. You can publicly thank someone for team player, making work fun. So maybe if they were an amazing mentor, you're going to an old boss, or they made an impact, right? So obviously that's someone that you know very well. And the same with endorsements. You could go down and I can endorse her for business development. Now what's interesting, so you see it went from a plus sign to a check sign, and it says, how well do I know her? And I'm gonna say highly skilled. She never sees the highly skilled piece, but she's gonna get a message that says, Bryn Tillman just endorsed you for sales process, thank her. And it will auto-populate a message that all she has to do is hit send. So we talk about starting conversations. Endorsing is a great way to start a conversation. You endorse them for something, make sure you know they're good at it before you do it.
Right, yeah, no, it's gotta be genuine and authentic, for sure.
Yeah, but that will start a conversation.
Right.
Another one, and this is, this is my favorite one, because this you can do with anyone, no matter how well you know them or you don't know them, because this is just it's just a different message that you're going to send. So this is only available on the mobile. But when we go to mobile and you go to the Sally Jo, I'm going to send you yet another video message.
Yay, I love them every single time.
Now I go through, interesting. I must have done that. I see I had you as an example. Test for class. Okay.
Yeah.
So whenever you go in, all you have to do is visit somebody's profile and hit message. Once you do that, you go to the bottom left-hand side and there's a little plus sign. And when you click on that, you get 8 options. One of them in the top right is video. And then I want to make it into the selfie mode. Hello. And I'm going to start my video. Hey, Sally Jo, it's been some time since we last connected. And when your name came up on LinkedIn, I thought I'd reach out and say hello. I'm not sure if you're in networking mode, but if you are, I'd love to jump on a 15-minute Zoom with you and see how things are going. I'm going to post a link to my calendar below the video. Hope you pick a time. Talk to you soon. All right, that's it. Send the video. And now I have here's a link to my calendar. Please pick a time that works best for you. And I send that out. If you did 10 a day, how many new conversations are you getting on? It's amazing.
Yeah, and you know, not a lot of people are using this. I'm sure the audience would agree that this is, a lot of people just don't know about it. I found it's a great way to sort of follow up from a call I just had. Just want to tell you again, it was great speaking with you. You know, I'll get that information out to you as soon as possible. And make sure you have a great day and stay well. It's just another touch point. So, and they watch, believe me, they watch it. But there's some, make it short, right, Bryn? You don't want to keep going.
You can't make it long. It cuts you off. I forget after, I think you get 40 seconds. So
okay, well, that's long enough for sure. So
mine are mostly 20 to 25 seconds.
Agreed. Yep.
So if I want to get in chat, if you think like this was it for you today, or you're going to commit to doing messages, just put a little Y in chat going, man, I love that tip and I'm going to do this. I can't tell you, especially, you know, we are not full-time back in front of people yet. We're still hungry for real faces and real conversations. And like, this is just, we're getting probably way over 90% engagement on this. Mostly, the people that don't respond are just not on LinkedIn. They're just not doing it. But almost everyone that looks at their messages, nobody ignores this. Sometimes it's, oh my God, how did you do that? But they starting a conversation, and we're booking calls constantly. So, oh my gosh. So look at all these people, yay, that are like, yes, I'm definitely doing this. I'm telling you, this is a game changer. But make sure your profile's done. So, because they're going to still check you out, right? They're going to go through to say, is it worth talking? And if it looks like a pitch or it's just a resume, they're less likely to want to have a conversation.
Yeah. And some days I don't do this because I'm still in my sweats and a hat on my head. But anyway.
You know, in today's world, I've got no.
Yeah, probably doesn't matter anymore.
Made up today. It just, you know, we're kind of got casual a little bit. I mean, not too casual, but yeah.
Right.
So social proximity for prospecting is our key piece. There are a lot of people that do LinkedIn for lead generation. They'll go out and, you know, connect with 50 people a day and have cadence messaging and all that fun stuff. But we really rely on our existing connections for warm market introductions. It's a powerful way to come into a new prospect at a high level of credibility. So social proximity is, you know, first mapping out, you know, who is it that we want to connect with? So business owners and certain industries that you might, you know, want to target. So mapping them out and then identifying how many of those are your existing connections, your first degree connections. We did that search. And how many, do a second degree search, how many are one away? How many can you get an introduction to or permission to name drop? So one of the ways we can do this is through networking meetings, which I love. And whether you're doing them in person now or you're still doing them remotely, before you have a networking meeting, make sure you mine each other's connections. I don't know if you want to talk a little more about this before I go in and show them.
Yeah, and if you haven't heard us speak before, I mean, we talk about LinkedIn being your Rolodex, but the exciting part is that you have access to your connections Rolodex. Mm-hmm. And that's what Bryn's speaking about. So if you know you're going to have a networking meeting, go into that person's Rolodex or connections, right? See the people that you don't know, their second degrees, so that you have the ability then when you speak with them, it's not just, you know, oh, do you think you know anybody? It's really a targeted list that you could now have a conversation about and invite them to do the same thing. So, wow, it's not just having this conversation and leaving with nothing. It's really helping each other develop your businesses. And you can do this with so many different kinds of people in your network, and I'm sure you've thought about that. You know, there's the whole channel of influencers that are not just, you know, people you're working directly with, but who else within your territory, maybe somebody doing something else that sort of fits in with what you do. So many different people that you can network with. I'm not going to digress here, sorry, but go ahead, Bryn.
No, so this is a little message that you can send, right? So Sally Jo, I hope this note finds you well. As you may know, I'm leveraging LinkedIn to grow my network. Oh, this is the introduction. This isn't the networking one. I did the wrong one. But we have—
Oh, Bryn.
There. No. Oh, I can't remember what it is. So we can get it, but we have verbiage that's pretty much, I'm just going to wing it. Sally Jo, I'm looking forward to our coffee meeting or virtual coffee meeting next week. Before we meet, feel free to look through my LinkedIn connections and make a list of 20 or 30 people I might know. We'll whittle them down to 3 or 4 meaningful introductions. And if it's okay with you, I can do the same, right? Now we do that. So that's pretty much what it would have said had I done it right. So now I'm going to go into Sally Jo's connections. We're going to go back to that search and we're going to go to all filters. You'll see Sally Jo's name is now here. I don't care about my first degrees that she knows, our shared connections. I only care about the ones she knows that I don't know yet. And I'm going to do, you know what, I'm going to do what I really care, all United States, because we really do.
We share a lot, yeah.
Well, it's not even, I just want to see, we're not territory based because everything we do is remote. We were positioned well. So we have second degree United States. They're the people I want to know with Sally Jo's name. And she knows 137 people that I don't know yet. That would probably be 1,000 if, you know, if I had my first degrees. But here are people that she knows that I might want to meet. Now I might want to drill it down by particular industry or some other filters, but I can now go from her thousands and thousands of connections down to the 137 that meet the criteria of whom I'd like to have a conversation with. And now we can meet and exchange introductions from that networking. She can do the same for me. Powerful.
You can translate, you can do that same thing, by the way, with your happy clients, just as a heads up.
Client referrals.
Right. Oh, did I remember that was the next slide? No, I did not.
Talk about it.
All right, client referrals. Well, it's the same process Bryn just spoke about. You know, you've got this happy client and you know the conversation. You went in, you said, well, Mr. Client, you know, I'm so glad you're happy. Can you think of anybody else in your network or that you associate with that might be able to use our services as well? And what do they typically say? Sure, I'll think about that. And then what happens? You leave with nothing. And it's not that they don't have good intentions. It's just they're busy with other things. But if you went into their connections and you said, Mr. Klein, I know you're really happy. I looked at your connections and there's a couple of people that I've cited that I thought we could discuss if you think they would be good options for me to contact and have that conversation with them. And now you've severed it down again, Bryn, to 5 or 6, sometimes more or less. And you have the ability now to have the client make the introduction, but that name dropping really works well. You know, you can say, hey, I was talking to John Smith down the street. He and I were, and your name came up in conversation. And he suggested that it really might be beneficial for us to have a conversation. So there's a couple ways you can do it in that regard, but that is the way to grow your business.
Absolutely. And all the lead gen in all the world cannot compare to a client referral. Just end of story. Prospect account search. I love this. I'm going to quickly do this. I keep going to my phone. I might unplug it now because we don't need to do that. Account search. So a lot of us have specific companies we're going after. And it could be a ton, right? But if you have your list of 30, 40, 50 companies that you want to go after, you want to look at your social proximity. So let's just say I want to look at Merck. Wait, I'm going to clear out all my search, by the way. I'm going to go up there. And let's say I want to look at Merck. What the heck? Merck is, they have a new logo-ish. Okay. So I want to look at Merck and I go to check out their company page on LinkedIn. And once I get here, the first thing I want to look at is Kathy and 20 other connections work here. That means before I even do any kind of prospecting, I'm already connected people at Merck. So I want to take a look and see who are these people, director of direct marketing, advertising. That might be someone to have a conversation with. Global access, like these are my existing connections, and I can say yes or no. There are people here that might be able to help me. I'm going to come back to that. But I do want to see who are the decision makers if none of them really fit who I want to know. So I click through all their employees, and I'm going to go to that all filters again. So they have 74,000 plus employees. So I'm going to go to all filters. We've got slight lag, okay? And I'm going to go right now, let's say I'm just going to check the greater Philadelphia area for the sake of, I want to bring this down. I'm going to check my, my criteria, and now I'm down to 249. That's 249 people that meet my criteria. So I may want to go down even further, and I may say, I just want vice president, not director, because that's a really big search, and I hit apply, and I bring it down, and it is now 6. Okay, great. So now I'm going to go through here and pick who here is my ideal buyer. So this is the way for social proximity for you to check. Oh, and by the way, I can see if I have second degree and I want to get to Rick, I have 4, 5, 6 people in common. And I can take a look at these and say, who do I have in common that I can reach out to? And actually, Matt Handel, his son was in kindergarten with my son. So I know him. That's just popped up, but I know his wife even better, but I could absolutely reach out. Here, side note, he was on Jeopardy. Okay, moving on.
Now that's exciting.
So, I mean, but yeah, random acts of social right there, right? But
right.
No, you find out who's there. So number 10, engage on your connections content. Really important. Now, I have no idea. I'm going to guess Matt has very little content, but we'll take a look and see. Oh, he is active. So if I wanted to get engaged with Matt first before I reach out, so he's talking about, so this was a day ago, so he is active. And if they're attending or not attending, you can follow, you go in and you can engage. You can look at who's commenting. You could even say, looks like a great event. I'm sorry, I won't make it. That's also engaging, right? Like you can go in ahead and do that. The last one was 3 weeks ago, but you can say late to the game, like if he is sharing something a month ago, notice this late to the game because it was a month ago, but this was interesting because. So when you can engage on their content, and before you even reach out, that's like another reason to reach out. Really loved that content.
Right. And I know we're running out of time a little bit, but can I just comment on that a little bit, is that, you know, just to like something, oh, that's great, you're getting on their radar. But if you actually read what they posted or listen to the video and take out of it what was significant to you and quote it back or make a comment about it, that is really getting on their radar. Believe me, they're reading it and remembering that you did that.
I love that. Hashtags, I'm going to go through quickly, but this is one of the biggest questions is why would I even care about hashtags? You can get engagement through hashtags.
Or you can make money today. They can get prizes on hashtags.
Right, today. Oh gosh,
Pivot. It was ANDRA. Yeah.
Yeah, wait. Put it in the chat, guys. The hashtag people need to use. Absolutely.
Hashtag PIVOT2GROW.
Pivot. I should know that. I've been looking at that for 2 weeks. PIVOT2GROW. Okay, so hashtag. So if you looked at that, let's use it. Hashtag PIVOT2GROW. Why do we want to do this, right? So if we want to engage on people that are engaging on this hashtag, I'm going to go ahead and follow it. So, right, so Andra, if I go ahead and I engage and I like this, there are 3 comments. If I engage on the people that are liking it, by the way, go ahead and tell on this content how wonderful the LinkedIn event was, right? I go through it, right, and I'm engaging with all the people that are commenting. Obviously, I want to be more thoughtful than I am right now. As Sally Jo said, read it, go through it. But when you're engaging on content based on a hashtag, that's where your audience is hanging out. You're going to be surprised. You engage with people, you put comments like, I like the name, so do I. Now Rod's going to reach out and connect with you, maybe, right? So I'll just, right? That, it's crazy, but this, using a hashtag to find your ideal, the content that your buyers are engaging on, and then engage, will make all the difference in the world. Number 12.
Number 12.
Post and share. You be the thought leader, right? Text, images, quotes. I will tell you, almost daily now, I am paying attention to the advice that I'm giving to clients. And on almost every coaching call, which are usually 30 minutes, on every coaching call, my goal is to offer one tweetable moment, one quotable moment, right? And then I'm recording all my calls because I send them to our clients, and I'll go back and I'll like pull that out, and then I put a quote around it. And the quotes, by the way, are crazy. So you say, you know, oh, I don't have time to be a thought leader. I don't even know if this is, oh, he reshared. Let me show you. So this is one of them. So if I go through, oh, thank you. Look, we've been mentioned. I'm going to come back and engage on that in a little bit. Yay. So if I go, okay, so if we go through, this is something I put out yesterday. And granted, I put out a lot of thought leadership, so I'm going to attract, but over time, you'll build a tribe if you're putting out the right kinds of content. But literally, it was a quote that I said to a client. And yeah, again, just some lag here because LinkedIn likes to laugh at me when we're live. But so it's just a quote that went out that ultimately probably has $3,000 or $4,000. Wouldn't that be lovely? Views.
Yes, that would be lovely. We'll take that on a Friday.
Every time I put out thought leadership. No, so like 3,000 or 4,000 views. But now you have to go back and engage with everybody, you know. But your thought leadership is what drives people in, and it will get hands raised and said, we need to talk. So we're not going to show you that because that was just a tease. But there's so many things you can do, you know, including creating a poll now in native video. You be the thought leader, you post and share. So recap us, Sally Jo.
Okay, recapping your profile. Really look at what your headline says now and change it up to what we suggested with those 3 key items. Make sure you change your summary and not make it about you, but make it about who you want to attract and engage with, and make your experience more about your company and how you help. The next one was, we talked about nurturing, searching through the connections that you have that perhaps that you have forgotten about. We always talk about don't connect and forget. How do you re-engage with them? You can endorse them, you can send them a video message, and you can send them kudos. Actually, there's lots of ways you can re-engage with them. If you're prospecting, we're talking about how to do that through the network that you already have by using your client referrals. And if it's if you're on an account-centric, you know, if you're doing account-based selling, then you want to look at that and see who you're connected with, or who do you know that's already connected into that organization. That's the best way to enter. And then engaging on your connections content, using hashtags, and then being a thought leader yourself, meaning trying to get to the point where people see you as a thought leader, where you're posting and sharing really good educational and valuable content. And that can be done in so many ways, as we've discussed.
So wonderful. We're open to Q&A, but I would love if in chat you guys can put a 1 if this was like, we should go 1. Okay, so 1 if you were like, it was okay. Oh, let's do the ask offer ratio. Bait and switch, learned nothing. It was worth my time is 2. So bait and switch, worth nothing is a 1. It was worth my time, but I'm not compelled to do anything is a 2. Or 3, I got value. This was a good use of my 48 minutes. So I'd love to hear in chat 1, 2, or 3. I just took a big risk there, Matt.
Yeah, you did.
So we've got questions right now. I don't know if you guys
yeah, so we'll tee up some of these questions for you. And also, I know we have a poll. And so Dana, if you're around to, yep, look at that on cue. Do you or your sales team use LinkedIn for prospecting? So we'll give everybody a second. And I guess while we're doing that poll, yeah, we'll get through some of these. I guess one person just asked for a reminder. I don't know if you know off the top of your head. What was the number 4 tip? I don't know if you know right off the top of your head.
The number 4 tip was searching your connections.
Okay, got it.
Is really scary.
So since you still have your screen shared, can you show the LinkedIn video message option again? I don't see that function on my messaging section. And by the way, Brenda, I sent you a message while you were doing the presentation. So I don't know if it came through or not. But...
Matt's getting tricky at this. He's getting good after all the education he's getting.
All right, let's see.
Perfect. And then, yeah.
Okay. I was just say, just as a reminder, the video function only works on the app. It's not on the website,
Right.
LinkedIn, and they have to be a first-degree connection.
Yep.
There it is, Matt.
There it is.
There it is.
Later.
I love that. Oh, here it comes. Here's the poll. Interesting. So do your sales teams use LinkedIn? So this is actually, this is higher than I was expecting. But this is definitely higher than I was expecting. But 63% of you say that your sales team does use it, and 37% say that they do not use it. LinkedIn ladies, what do you think about that?
It is higher than we normally see, and I'm going to say people have been stuck inside for 2.5 months. They've been using LinkedIn better, so I'm happy to see that. I would have said typically that would have been reversed.
Absolutely.
Right.
Totally agree. I think one of the items, and you talked a lot about it, which I think is great, the ability to, again, pivot, I'll say it 1,000,000 times during this conference, but get really comfortable in front of the video, and the fact that being authentic is welcome. So a lot of individuals, that was your only resort to get your face out in front of other people and to engage again. So even if you were terrified, you had to step off that ledge and do it. And so I think I think that's very telling, seeing that number right there.
The funny thing is, there's a mindfulness coach. I'm going to just give her name, Harriet Stein, who's absolutely phenomenal. And I was in a class, like a workshop with her virtually, and she said, all of us until now have been looking like this in public, and we have no problem going out and having conversations with people because we did not see what we looked like. The problem is that we are looking at ourselves. So if you're struggling with like video conferences, don't look at you.
Yep.
Make sure you're, even put a Post-it note over your face, and you're going to be a lot more natural. The problem is we stop with video. We're not looking at the other people. We're looking at how we look, and that's not natural in our everyday activity.
Yeah, and I would say that people aren't as judgmental as you think that they would be. And this goes back to we talked about earlier in the week, the psychology of the sale, and just in life in general, typically you are your own worst enemy. If any of us, boil it down and really take an introspective look at ourselves, no one else is viewing you the same way you are. And typically they're viewing you more positive, and they're not looking at the same things that you're looking at, and they're not beating themselves up the way that you're beating themselves up. They're just looking at another person on the other side of that line, and they don't mind all the things that you might be, pointing out about yourselves. And so I think that is a great point that you were making.
True. Absolutely true.
We've got a couple other questions we'll try to get to. So, Bryn, these are some amazing tips. What tool did you use to mirror your phone on the screen?
Oh, so you can actually simply use Zoom. So let me show you on Zoom. Hold on, I'll show you 1 second because I'm just going to do a screenshot. So if you look, can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I'm now sharing my desktop, but if you plug in your phone, you can actually share your phone. When you do share screen, you can share your phone, and it's that simple.
Very cool. Very cool. I'm not sure. So this one says, any advice for those who use a marketing manager to run their LinkedIn and ghost a lot of your posts? I think that means that somehow their marketing manager is removing their posts, or am I misinterpreting this?
Your marketing people are ghost writing.
So that's okay.
That's right. Yep.
I think have a great relationship with your this is what I would say. I would say create a strong relationship with your marketing manager. Let them interview you and use your words.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be that thought leader, so they can do the bulk of the work. But maybe you can even come up with 10 questions. You can do audio or audio, or do a Zoom and send it to them and say, can you create content based on my thought leadership?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And because, there are definitely times where, so content that you share, you're going to get, if you're curating average content or below average content, which is a bulk of the content that's out there,
Mm-hmm.
then we're going to get bait and switch. So I'm not saying your marketing group, what they're probably doing is curating content and then putting like your thought leadership on top of that. But if that blog post or content or video that they're sharing is not great, that's going to hurt you, not help you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if I could just add, and authentic. You want it to be in your voice.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there's a lot that you can do in conjunction with your marketing department so that they can do the bulk of the work around your mindset, around your thoughts.
So a couple more comments and questions. So I love this. Art wrote, I was updating my profile while you were guiding us through. So that's amazing. Tough crowd. You got Ryan giving you a 2.99998.
Oh my, Ryan.
Yeah. And I don't know if you can go back on the slides, but Andrea said, can you show the slide with the types of content to put on your LinkedIn page? I don't know if you can do that very easily.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
And this is a great list too. I mean, one of the things that you were just mentioning, Bryn, that I think is, and you tagged onto it, Sally Jo, when someone is ghostwriting so one, I want to say whoever asked that question, congratulations first, especially in our MSP community, to even be thinking to say, ooh, I know that I, as an executive, do not have the time to be writing my own content on LinkedIn. I'm going to get someone to write it on behalf of me and post it out there. So at least I'm present on LinkedIn. That's a first step. Now, what Bryn and Sally Jo are sharing is, in order for them to do that for you and it not be a bait and switch, they need to know enough about you so that it's still on brand. In order to be a thought leader, the reason why people love thought leaders is there's a brand that goes along with you. That's why you're the cream that rises to the top, because you have something to say. So if it's not your voice, or they've met you in person, if we met, Bryn and Sally Jo, we know exactly their personalities. They've been sitting with us for an hour. We know their way of talking, and their personalities are colorful and awesome. Now, if you saw a post that was very bland and vanilla, you would know that did not come from them. So that's what people feel when it's not on your brand. And so I love that you said, Bryn, get in the head of that executive team and make sure you're sharing out what is who they are. So I think that's great.
For the marketing person, right? Like the marketing person is a marketing genius. They're not subject matter experts. So when you can combine the SMEs with marketing, it's so much better content anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
SMEs know what their clients want. They know the challenges they're facing. They're having the conversations every single.
They're hearing the client questions being asked. Yeah.
So I'm working on a quote, which I actually told Sally Jo, my next quote, I had one quote that was out there, and it's not perfected yet, but if your content gets your prospects thinking, you're a thought leader. So
love that.
So if you can think about that, right? So if your prospects get them thinking, that's what gets you a thought leader. So if your content does not get them thinking differently, then it wasn't compelling enough content.
Absolutely.
One last question that just kind of came in before we end the session. Do you have any tips for LinkedIn banner image? Yes.
So first of all, you can create your own. Canva, C-A-N-V-A, is a freemium tool, but if you go in and look up LinkedIn banner, you'll get a template, or you can go to linkedinbanner.com and you can download our PowerPoint template. But the key is your image is a 1:4 ratio. In PowerPoint, I do 2.5:10. You could do 2.8, whatever your 1:4 ratio is, and that's the perfect size. I tend to do them in PowerPoint because I'm old school, but Canva is a really great way to drag and drop your images, and you can pull images from lots of places. Pixabay.com has some free images. You could use wordart.com to create your own images. You could just simply bring in your logo. But there are lots of ways to use that banner, including like a billboard. So if you're doing a webinar, you can use it to advertise your webinar. If you're going to do a live event eventually, you know, you can switch it out. The other thing is, name it search engine optimization, like search engine optimize the name of your banner. Don't make it image 1732, right? Like, call it the words that people will use when they're looking for you, because Google indexes those images. So when people are Googling certain things and your branded image comes up, you have a much better shot at hitting page 1 for your image than you do for your website, because very few people are doing a good job of that, and they're not doing it on LinkedIn images, and LinkedIn is heavily indexed. They are much more indexed by Google than your website, you know, unless you're, you know, I think LinkedIn's number 5 in the world. So there's no way you can compete, right? So leverage that for search engine optimization.
I couldn't agree with that part more, and making sure that that's added in. I think that that's a wonderful tip. Any last inspiring messages that either one of you want to give before we have to unfortunately part ways?
I just want to say, if anybody would like additional information, Bryn, if you don't mind sticking that back up, they're more than welcome to schedule a
15-minute call with Sally Joe. You just visit schedule a call with Sally.com, and you froze up there for a moment. I'm going to call Elsa, freezing. Sorry.
Yeah, my internet is beginning to be unstable. I think there's a storm coming through. So
come in here.
Bryn, you take it. You take it.
So Sally Joe is amazing, obviously, clearly, and it's with her. It is all about you and your profile and your outreach. She's there for you. We are so happy that you were here, and we look forward to continuing to communicate with you. Matt and Andra, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
This was great and so actionable for these MSPs. So Matt and I appreciate you both coming on, and I'm sure you'll be getting a bunch of requests for connection. So we look forward to staying connected in LinkedIn.
All right. You guys have a great weekend. Everyone take care.
Thank you very much. And I think we lost you, Andra.
Right.
So Andrew will probably be popping in here in a second. So in the second hour, we've got an amazing panel. It's called the CMO panel. We've got Andra, who's obviously been one of the hosts, Dana, who's been behind the scenes. Andrew, you're back. And
somehow it popped me right out of the show, so it's okay.
Yeah, and Crystal from the 20. So just really going to be awesome. And I think Dana will probably be letting herself in along with Crystal here in a second. But I mean, Andrew, that was, I think that rounded out the week perfectly with
absolutely. One thing that, there are so many great tips. I mean, it's no mistake, everyone that is online, it's no mistake that LinkedIn has been brought up so many times. Two things that you have heard more times than you can probably count through this event is LinkedIn and video. And we're going to go through and talk with you about so many other things that have to do with marketing and pivoting your business and growing your business. And this is, as Matt was teeing up, we are excited to be partnering, the three of us, and Matt will jump off in a second here too. Thank you, Matt. The three of us are excited to pair up as a CMO panel. So each of us, and we're going to go through introductions in just a moment so you get to know everyone on the line. The three of us are in this space. Obviously, every single one of our groups are only technology, and we had marketing in this space. And so we get asked these questions constantly, and we're excited to bring you just a fun panel. So be popping in questions, because we're going to round out this week. And as you're starting to pop in questions, Crystal, Dana, welcome. It looks like you're on mute, so let's unmute you. And Crystal, introduce yourself and give a little background for everyone jumping on.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, perfect.
My volume up. Awesome. My name is Crystal McFerran. I am CMO for the 20. For those of you who know Tim Conkle, I was actually his first marketing hire about 8 years ago for his MSP, Roland Technology Group. I left, I believe about 6 years ago, started a marketing company that was acquired, started another one, and then somehow found myself back at the 20. I've been back about 2 years. I absolutely love it, love working with MSPs, and I'm excited to be here today.
Well, welcome. We're excited to have you. Dana, it looks like you're on mute too. Unmute really quick.
Don't appear to be.
There
Okay,
you are.
how's that?
Good.
So I've been driving this thing all week and now I can't do it when it's me on stage.
It's okay.
So it's been great all week, just being, you know, behind the scenes, popping everybody in and out, and now to be in front of everybody and just say, I have been so inspired all week by all the speakers. It's just been like, I'm so proud to be part of this experience because I love marketing, as you ladies do. Crystal, you and I have something really cool in common, and that is that our CEO, Kevin, I worked for him about 10 years ago for a company called Winvale, and I was his, I think I was VP of marketing at that time. I was his head of marketing, and some things happened, and you know, we parted ways very happily, and I went on to another opportunity. But when he started ID Agent about 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago, it was just Kevin and Matt, and he called me and he said, I think you're the person I need for this. And, you know, I was able to come in. And so that was my entree into the channel because I was working in telecom and other technology before that. But I just completely fell in love with the channel. I've never experienced anything like the family feeling that you get from this group.
Absolutely. And it is like, it's a small, so one of the things, I'll share this and then we're going to dive in, I promise, because I feel like the three of us would be hanging out just drinking wine.
I know.
So I'm going to try to keep us on track because I literally feel like we just invited the hundreds of people to hang out with us. So one of the things that I always share with my team, and for those of you that are just popping in, I'm ANDRA, HEDDEN, CMO and owner at Marketopia, and we are a lead generation and marketing machine for the technology industry. So we partner with vendors, MSPs, and our goal is only to help you grow and prosper and gain more profit. So one of the things that I always share with my team, Dana, that goes right into what you were saying is that this channel is so unique. And it's so different. And I always say we in the channel are like a small town in anywhere. I always say Texas just because that's the first thing that comes to mind. But I say we're like a small town in Texas. And you need to approach everything like that. The relationships, the community, the way that you market, the way that you get the word out there, awareness, all of that. You would do it the same way because we're just a big extended family. And we travel that way and we talk that way. And everyone knows everyone's business, good, bad, or indifferent. So it's great. And so I love that too, because it's very interesting how often you come across the same individuals that worked somewhere or the same individuals that you are back in the same company again, or someone goes and starts something again. And just like Crystal, she's back at the 20 because they're close relationships and it's awesome. So I want to get us started and just talk about the landscape. So on the line is hundreds of MSPs looking to grow. That's obviously what this entire event is about. Let's just do a little bit of talking, and I'm gonna go to you first, Crystal, about set the stage. So obviously we did a poll very beginning of the event talking about marketing and how many MSPs are marketing and what that looks like. From your perspective, what are you seeing as the norm when it comes to marketing for MSPs in our space?
You know, sadly, and I hate to lead off like this, but I would say that for most MSPs, their marketing methods are really antiquated. I think that a lot of MSPs don't truly grasp marketing, and so they have a lot of room to grow. I think they're catching on and realizing that marketing is important, but a lot of them don't know where to start. Yeah. And so I think that there's huge opportunity in the industry right now, you know, especially for the IT industry after COVID, and in particular with digital marketing. So I think there's an opportunity, you know, as you talked about in the last session, you know, on thought leadership and to really present your MSP as a trusted resource, you know, credible information.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just, I just wanted to comment on that real quick. Earlier in the week, one of the questions that came through, and I've been just, you know, kind of watching the chat and watching the Q&A. And one of the questions was, if I only have $500 a month to spend on marketing, what do you recommend? And of course, I immediately went to practical, like, okay, so make sure your sales team is using Sales Navigator, and maybe you could do a targeted ad campaign on Facebook. And then I took a step back and I thought, what are you trying to get if you are only spending $500 a month on marketing? Mm-hmm. Like what you really need to do is take a step back and say, how many salespeople am I trying to feed? And truly, you know, that's going to cost you more than $500 a month if you really, really are trying to grow.
That brings up a great point too. You know, I think that a lot of MSPs and probably the majority look at marketing or view marketing as an expense, and they should view it as an investment. And that's when you can really change the game.
Definitely. I think that mindset, and it's riddled naturally through this event. And so what Crystal was just mentioning, this is why, you know, I personally have been so proud to see how many MSPs have shown up for this event, particularly through COVID and particularly through, you know, so many things going on in the world right now from an economic standpoint. I think everyone has gotten to the point where you can no longer just do the same things that you've always done. You have to say, okay, I don't have a choice now. I've got employees I need to take care of. I've got clients I need to take care of. I need to figure out all these things that I had the luxury before of just like not worrying about marketing. It's an expense. I'm not worried about it. I've got a lot of friends out there and they're giving me leads. Now everyone is realizing, which has been a huge blessing, that you've got to do other things if you want to last in this digital world. And it was coming anyways. And I think that COVID was just a very big catalyst to that change. So I think one, you know, what you're mentioning, Crystal, that shift in mindset is really important. About marketing isn't an expense. I talked with Tim, you know, yesterday, or was it the day before? They're all blending, about the need to look at the leads coming in. So if we're looking at, you were just mentioning it, Dana, how many sales reps are you trying to feed leads to? And how many, what does that look like? And going through that process first before you even really figure out what you want to do to market. Now, do you think in regard to the process to do that, walk me through kind of some thoughts on your side, Dana, of how you go about that when you pair sales and marketing, which needs to be a pair, by the way. We can talk about that in a second too. Pair of, and I know we all go through that. Tiffany Bova talked the other day about how it used to be marketing and IT merging, right, with MarTech and systems and solutions and infrastructure. Now, even more so, okay, this is all situated. Now it's the sales and marketing needing to marry even more with systems in the background and, you know, CRMs and whatnot. Give some thoughts to those going, wait a minute, how do I figure that out? How do I figure out how many sales leads I need to give to sales?
Well, ours is, I mean, calculated on a formula for sure. I mean, it's all a numbers game. You know, how much do they each, you know, what is their quota? How many leads do we think based on their conversion rate do they need in order to feed that? And then that tells me how many leads I have to feed them. And so we calculate the budget based on how many leads I have to get, because we can kind of know what, you know, cost per lead is for each channel that we market in. But it's interesting because, you know, coming out of like the telecom space, sales and marketing were always very much at odds. And it was like, your leads aren't good enough and your salespeople aren't good enough. Yeah. And I'm finding that, you know, we're really working to have it be this full circle. Like there's a blurred line where the SDR has 1 foot in marketing and 1 foot in sales. And then, you know, the marketing team is going back and talking to the salespeople about the conversations that they're having and tweaking the marketing message based on that. And I just think it's sort of our sales and marketing teams are a micro of the channel. You know, we're sort of this like, we're good feedback loop. We're a family and we're here to help you. We're all in the same team. We're pushing in the same direction. So I'm very happy to be on a team that looks at it that way.
Definitely. Crystal, so really quick on the 500, because I think that one, we just had an attendee share a quick question on that too. And this is, look, you know, Crystal was just sharing, putting the landscape of the channel out there. There are very new to the space MSPs, right? There's MSPs that just popped up yesterday and I get either calls from them or I've gotten messages from them and my team handles, you know, supporting them on a daily basis. But there are new to the channel MSPs. Then there are MSPs who are not new to the channel, but just have had more of a hobby business, right? It stayed a certain, it's grown a little bit, maybe every year, maybe it has a little bit of an ebb and flow, but they've been around for a long time. And right now they're looking to see, how do we grow? What does that look like? Which is why I'm glad you're on the line right now, all of you together. It's wonderful to see you taking it seriously. Then you've got the sophisticated ones, Crystal. You've got the ones that are already investing thousands and thousands every month into marketing, and that's wonderful. But for one of our attendees that just asked, look, we are trying to grow, but we really only do have $500. Give just some quick advice that they can implement right now that they might not have heard throughout the week.
So first of all, I would encourage all of, I hear a little bit of an echo. I would encourage all of those MSPs to first take advantage of the free resources. So look at the vendors that you work with. I mean, like ID Agent, Huntress, you know, all of these guys in the channel have created excellent content. So if you are working with them as an MSP, take that content, use it to build out resources, because I think that content is really where you want to, you know, focus your time and energy to start with. So that's what I would say, you know.
Sure.
In the 20, we have a whole, you know, online marketing collateral library where they can go in, and I know that ID Agent does as well, and I know you have powered services. So use those resources, really build out, you know, a marketing campaign that you can use, because it's about consistency. You know, you see a lot of MSPs doing what I call just spray and pray marketing, you know, putting something, or random acts of marketing, you know, putting a post out here and there, maybe a blog. But it's about consistency and repeatedly, you know, getting in front of your prospects.
Definitely. One of the things that and we'll share some more tips that you can do even at the smaller levels of investment, because I think one obviously is great from a perspective of looking for the free out there. What is the free and what does that look like? And we'll get into more of that as well, because there are so many resources out there. It's a matter of knowing where to go and going to great partners that you know have the right pieces. But let's talk a little bit about, you know, there's someone who came in with a question of, can you walk us through the entire sales and marketing process, please? So I love that you shared that, because it is, and that you asked that question, because this is a question that the three of us live in marketing. We eat, breathe, sleep this every single day. So this is our passion. This is what we love. And we love helping businesses grow. So when you think through the way to attack putting in a marketing, I would say engine, right? Because it's not just a marketing plan, that's only part of it. And you can go off of there's a lot of different flows out there of what you need to do. You need to plan, you need to ensure you've got everything situated. I wanna talk about that first, because if you don't plan and you don't know who your business is yet, and you don't have your brand situated, it's really hard to go and do any of the other pieces. So let's talk about planning for marketing. What does that look like? And let's start at the very 101 level and quickly, because we're going to just jump through these guys, and then we've got a lot of tips and tricks we're going to share, but go through that. So if everyone on the line is sitting here right now and they're going, look, we're going to do this on Monday or over the weekend, we're going to start working on our business. Where do we start planning, and what does a plan for our brand look like? What does that look like? Start us off, Dana.
I think you start with, I mean, we call it buyer personas, but I think that you have to start with a profile of who you're going after. And before you do that, you have to know which market you're going after. So you have to be really targeted. You can't just say, I'm going to, like Crystal said, spray and pray. You have to think, who am I going after, and who is that decision maker, and what are they reading, and what are they feeling, and what are they thinking, and create like mini campaigns one at a time based on one buyer. And so the first thing you do is define who that buyer is. So I think that's where I start.
What about you, Crystal?
I would echo that. You know, I was going to say, I always say first, you know, you're talking marketing 101, you want to start and figure out who your target prospect is. You know, if they were sitting across from you, what would they be talking about? What issues keep them up at night? And that's where you want to create content. And so, you know, if you're focusing on different verticals, obviously that's going to look different. You're going to have different content geared towards the medical industry, you know, with compliance, with legal, but you want it to resonate with them and provide value.
Definitely. And starting back on that sorting out I'll touch one really quick thing, because Dana was touching into something that's really important about the figuring out how many leads you need to grow your business. So we have resources on that too. I will share one absolutely in the link also, but sorting out that number, because if you were just trying to do marketing, if you're thinking about deliverables first, you're doing it wrong. So if you're going, what deliverables do I need to do like to make a great marketing strategy? You're doing it wrong already. So I'm just going to like halt you there. We're going to put you on the right path. So the three of us are going to get you going in the right direction. So first you got to figure out, okay, I'm in business. I got to figure out what are my actual resources today, which is your business, your brand, your mission of why you're even doing what you're doing, who you're trying to provide it to, right? And then what do you need from a revenue perspective to hit those goals? And then you've got to analyze the products that you're selling to hit those revenue targets, right? So you've got to do a quick business plan.
All first.
You got to figure it out. And then you've got to go, okay, great. We got to analyze this first. And that takes a lot, right? So that's really the first step. Look inside your business. You got to sit down, have really good conversations with your leadership or your ownership team and get there. Once you do all of that and you know who you are, then you can start to say, okay, great. We know how many leads we need. to grow our business to where we're trying to grow. Then you get to talk about deliverables. Then you get to say, okay, now I know how many leads. I need 10 leads to grow my business by, whatever, $20 million of monthly recurring revenue. So if I need 10 leads to do that, then you start to work through where and how you can get your message of awareness out, and then how you can get those to engage, and then you can convert them, and then you can continue to engage with them, right? So if we're at that level, we planned out our business, Crystal, Dana, we said, this is who we are. We're going to target these verticals. We want businesses of this size. We want to go this far from our business, and this is the geo area that we're going to go to. Now we need to start saying, okay, great, what are our deliverables that we can start building out? So
well, I think we also have to define like what's going to be my tip of the spear product.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I can't build a deliverable unless I know what product I'm going to take to them first.
Absolutely. And I think too, the product, one of the things that were mentioned through the week is analyze your products. Are they profitable? Because revenue doesn't mean anything if there's no profit there. And you heard Tiffany Bova talk about that a little bit too. Revenue is just a number. It depends on what your actual profit looks like. So as you go through that exercise, I totally agree with you. Look at what you're selling and decide how you want to position those solutions to the market. Then start to think through your marketing plan. So talk a little bit, Crystal, about marketing plans. So what does it look like? Because many of these MSPs are just going to start putting together marketing plans today. Where do they start?
So I think from there, taking over where we left off, I think you want to be able to clearly articulate your value proposition. So you want to work that into all of the content that you're creating. And so whether you break that down, if you're doing it yourself or working with an outside agency, you typically look at it on a monthly basis and plan the content that you want to put out and create, what that looks like, in terms of marketing campaigns, social media content, blogs, so that it's consistent and that it ties together. I think that would be step one. And
absolutely. Say it again.
Oh, no, go ahead. I thought you.
No, I was just saying, you're right. You're right. And making sure that you've got whatever that thread is going to be through all the content, that it is aligned to the business, and picking the places that you want to put it. And in making sure, answer this for me, ladies. So there's a lot of talk about type of content right now. So if we're talking, so there is what I call, the structural content that just lives out there. It's your set it and forget it things that are out there all the time. And then you've got your timely content. So right now, a lot of questions that MSPs are asking are, do we market right now? If we're just starting to market, how do we start marketing? What do we say in the world that we're living in now with COVID? And how do I start? What would you say?
I would say that the key thing or top of mind should be, don't interrupt what people want to consume, in terms of what they're looking at online, but be what they want to consume. So again, it dials back to value, providing fresh content, providing useful information, and you can tie that into current events, whether it's COVID, working from home, but that's what you want to do, is you want to personalize that content to your target and ensure that it resonates by really being what they want to consume.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Dana.
We took a step back from messaging sort of the COVID message within advertising, and we just put it in our blogs, and then we use social media to promote the blogs. So our advertisements are very product specific or point solution specific. And obviously we message to how they help solve whatever problem. But in terms of that type of messaging that is very topical and timely, we're just using the blog for that for the most part.
Absolutely. And so Teresa, I love what you just said. So Teresa says, we need to sell our service too, not just products. So I love that you just said this, because when it comes to, in our space, being an MSP, your world is made up of taking these amazing vendors, be it ID Agent or others, amazing vendors, actual products and services, and bundling them up in a solution that makes sense for you to bring to market. On top of that, and this is, I think, the next thing that we really should get into, because I think this is what a lot of MSPs are going to be thinking through as we come out of quarantine, is their brand and what their brand stands for, both individuals in the business and the business brand. But what you end up doing is you need to understand what your layers of value look like on top of those solutions. You're right, it's not just solutions and services. You're wrapping around your value out of your managed services, and you're selling that. And that is quality, that is value, that is people, that is your workforce, your team, your case studies. You're selling what you've already done for individuals forward to those that you're trying to go after. So let's talk about that a little bit. How do you learn how to better sell your managed services and not talk product and solution?
I think that was a great comment, great question, because businesses don't buy products or services, they buy benefits. And so I think when you can dial it back and, you know, as you develop your value proposition, be able to communicate what the benefit is to that prospect, you know, because really they can't attach a value to your services without knowing the benefit to them.
Right, and that goes back to the sort of the, you know, identifying the profile or the buyer persona, because if you're marketing to, you know, your managed services to a healthcare provider, then they're going to want to hear a lot more about how you're going to help them with compliance, and, you know, that's the message to them about how you're going to make their life easier because it's super complicated. Whereas if you're going after, you know, a different type of industry, that's not going to be the message you're going to lead with. So you have to really be focused and targeted about how, you know, you are going to help make their life easier. You know, are you going to help make their life easier? Are you going to save them money? Are you, you know, somehow going to just, you know, wrap all this up together and make their life easier?
And when it comes to brand and value, so back to what we've done a lot of talking about even offline is individuals buy from individuals, like you said, Crystal, which is 100% correct. We buy from people that we like. We buy from people that we want to engage with, and we learn about their products after, right? We hope that they're solving something for us, and they are, and the way they approach it, and we develop a partnership. Now, when it comes to brand, there's multiple types of brand. There's the brand that your company stands for and how you develop that, and then there's personal brands, and then how you create that awareness in your communities and creative things that you can do. So let's talk about brand for a little bit. Crystal, if an MSP is really just starting on brand and their awareness in their communities, give some things that they can do, and maybe even some cool examples. I love good examples and stories of where things have already worked. Start us off and just give, you know, the audience some ideas.
Okay, you know, first of all, I would say don't just participate in your bubble as you seek out opportunities. I mean, look for places where you can provide thought leadership, whether it's doing guest blogs, you know, for vendors or for your clients, speaking gigs, opportunities where you're going to be able to share your expertise. All of that is going to establish credibility for your MSP.
Definitely. What about you, Dana?
LinkedIn is a huge opportunity. Sorry. I would say don't just post, you know, I always say social media is not a podium where you just stand up and you spew, you know, your expertise, but really listen and engage with others. And that's going to help you build your brand as well.
Yeah, and I think, you know, you hit on powered services, and, you know, ID Agent built our marketing department 100% on every single piece of collateral or any kind of content we built was made freely available and brandable by our MSP partners. And so that has been our core philosophy since day one. And that just organically brought us more people because they were like, wow, that's worth a lot of money. So we didn't have to do a lot. You know, they became our evangelists because we were giving them all these free services. And our MSPs can do the same thing when, you know, leverage what we've given them and do the same thing for their customers. Like, give them free things, give them free advice, give them free, you know, here's my newsletter that gives you all the latest breach news and you know, whatever it is. Just offer things that drive your credibility as a subject matter expert, and that's going to organically bring people to you. I also wanted to tell one really cool story that came out today. So Dan Tomaszewski he spoke yesterday, and he had heard on one of our sessions somebody who said, you know, you need to get out there and just keep, you know, putting videos out and just, you know, creating this voice for yourself. So Dan put a video out today on LinkedIn, and he told the best story about an MSP he spoke with yesterday, and the guys, I think, or a couple of days ago, and the guys were going in and they said, we know that we're up against 3 other competitors and that we're the last ones to present. How do you think we should go in and differentiate ourselves? And Dan's advice was, go in there and ask them about their culture instead of talking about your services. Go in there, don't ask them about their problems with IT. Go in there and ask them about their culture, because they are going to be, whether they're thinking about it consciously or subconsciously, you're going to be part of their team. And it's very, very important on the back end that you fit in with their culture. Well, they ended up winning the deal just based on going in and framing the conversation that way. And I just love that idea of, you know, first of all, that Dan, you know, he took something he learned on here and he's immediately, you know, taking it to heart, and he's going to post a video every day. We all need to do that. but also that, you know, he's giving advice to do something that, you know, think of it a little bit differently, or, you know, say it a little bit differently. I just love that.
I love that. That brought up, you know, a great discussion that Tim Kunkel and Mark Elliott shared the other day about reframing it and making it a business conversation and not a technical conversation. And I think that that translates to all of your marketing content as well.
Absolutely. And I think the selling back to the question too on the managed services is you're getting to know the person and the people, whoever the decision makers are inside of the organization, in order to understand what their need is in order to sell your services in. So I think it's backing away a little bit from the conversation doesn't start at how do we sell our managed services. The conversation starts at how do we better engage in the front end of our sales process to ensure that we're having different types of conversations, and maybe different people from our organization are going to those tables to have those more consultative conversations with the business owners in order to secure an idea about what they're really needing. They don't need 24/7 uptime. They do, but that's not what they need. A business that's going to run all the time, happy clients. They need whatever those things are that, again, we always say what's keeping you up at night, but that's what you need to know, and you need to dig for those and find them, and then you market that way. And you were saying, Dana, about the personas. So as you're building out these marketing strategies and plans, it doesn't have to cost a lot. So we were talking about, the $500. You can do small things that take a moment, like the video Dana was saying, like just building out your audience in LinkedIn. So we've been doing a lot of talking about LinkedIn, but it falls on deaf ears if you're not connected to anybody in LinkedIn. So you have to build first and then start marketing to them. What was that?
Absolutely. I was going to say, as you've all heard, your network is your net worth. You want to fully maximize that and grow that. I mean, you're creating, human capital as you grow your network. So, connect with all of your prospects as you're going through that sales process so that you're seeing their content and they're seeing yours. Connect with anyone and everyone that you come into contact with. That's the only way to grow your network.
And with that, your network is your net worth, which I love, because I think that at the core of everything we've been talking about this entire week, it's people. That's it. The entire week, you think we're talking about marketing, even right now, like you might think we're talking about marketing and you might be like, oh gosh, this stuff is still so scary, even though I heard about it all week. We're talking about people. That's it. And I think having that EQ and really understanding how to approach people in order to understand what they want and then serve them what they asked for, that's really what it's about, and finding the right deliverables to do that and to get out in the market. And so let's talk a little bit through ways to do that. So let's talk about some tools and things. I know we've talked about a ton of them through the week. I know that I get questions constantly about, what marketing automation systems should I use? Am I using my PSA tool right for the data that I have in order to send out the emails? Let's talk about tools really quick and just some tips and tricks that MSPs can do to ensure that they've got the right engine behind their marketing plan.
I just wanted to bring up one little thing before we switch on to the automation or to platforms, and that is that one of the easiest things and one of the greatest resources that we all have are our existing customers. And so just going to them and saying, why did you choose us? You don't have to write a whole case study. Just say, what was it? What was the one thing that made you decide to choose us? And then repeat it.
Yeah.
And that's a simple thing you can do. And you can write it down and say, do you mind if I use you as a reference? You won't get a yes if you don't ask. You may find that every single customer you have is willing to be a reference. People like to talk.
I love that. I'm glad you added that. One thing, I was going to share a minute ago is if I've seen something that is disproportionately successful in marketing, it would be social proof. So you're looking at case studies, testimonials. I mean, that is going to influence their buying decision more than any other marketing content that you put out.
And I think what's working for everyone on the line, what's working for you right now is the ability to not have to have it be perfect. So that is an asset to every single person on the line. It used to be that everything had to be perfect and overproduced, and that equals time and money. So right now is the best time than you've probably ever had to start going to market, because it's next to nothing to create this content. So one of the things Dana was just saying, and that I want to cherry on top of, is do not overthink your marketing. Do not overthink your content. Do not overthink what it means to be a marketer. because a marketer does not mean that you're the best at drawing pictures, that you're the best at, you know, Adobe Suite. That is not marketing. Marketing is how good are you at telling your story? That's it. And have you found a quick way to market to get that story out there? So one of the things Dana was just mentioning about, you know, grab some testimonials. The two things that you have clients who hopefully love you, so grab those testimonials. But then two, you can use two other things, right? So you've got clients, you've got yourself, and I'll explain what that means in a second. And then you have other great industry leaders that are pushing out amazing content. So I call those coattails. So you've got your current clients that are happy to talk with you. And if they are happy, they will surely give you a recommendation online, a Google score. They'll rate you anywhere you'd like. You can grab a quick quote from them, and I guarantee you that a quick quote in a little box on LinkedIn that's a photo is going to get more traction than burying it somewhere on your website and creating a whole entire case study around it. More eyeballs will be on that quick photo that you put in there if it's captivating enough with the quote from your client on it. And that's a quicker way to market. I talk to my team about it all the time. We need to be quicker to market because the more time is the more money. So you've got to help companies get out there. The other one I mentioned is yourself. So you have so much information in your mind that will help others and give it away for free, put it online, do a ton of things with it. And the last one is coattails. So ride other people's coattails. If you've got someone else that has amazing information that they're sharing, if you see something cool Crystal posts and you're like, oh, awesome, let me share that out. That's a way that you just generated content, attached yourself to another great brand. Maybe it's a vendor of yours without doing anything other than a click of a couple buttons. And maybe you added some content, but you just put a piece of marketing out there. What are those things?
One thing we do is we do our weekly newsletter called The Week in Breach. And it's got, you know, the breakdown of breach stories from kind of highlight stories from around the world. And we've made this available, and some of our partners still just don't realize that this is free content for them. They don't even have to give attribution if they're our partners. And one really clever thing one of our guys has done is he takes that content, basically just reads it in a clever way on YouTube, and he rebranded it Tales from the Dark Web, and that's his newsletter. So he has a video newsletter that comes out every week, like 2 days after we release our newsletter, because he just repurposes that content, and that's what we want them to do with it. And there's so many vendors out there who are happy to share that content. So it's just a matter of leveraging it and coming up with a way to reuse it, and that's a freebie.
What are your thoughts, Crystal?
Absolutely. I was going to say all of that is spot on, you know, and I think a lot of MSPs think that they have to have all this unique original content. But again, you know, vendors are putting out great stuff. All of the organizations that they are affiliated with are putting out great content. And I think there was a misconception for a while that LinkedIn penalized you for sharing others' content. That is definitely not the case. You know, you are penalized if you put a link in there because they obviously want to keep the traffic on LinkedIn and not drive you, you know, to a website. But sharing other content for me, you know, as of late has provided probably 5 times the engagement as original content. So, you know, share something, add in, you know, your commentary on it, your thoughts, but don't be afraid to share content that others have put, you know, the time and resources into creating.
And adding an opinion, I mean, that in itself is content. So back to using yourself as an example, you have so much that you know, and you know your space better than anyone else being an MSP. So don't overthink the fact that you've got something to offer when it comes to content. Content does not mean it's a fluffy marketing piece. That's not content. Content is something that's valuable to somebody else. And when they digest it, they're going to learn something that only you knew. You've got expertise that no one else knows. So taking that and repositioning it, and back to what Dana said, which I love, is add an opinion onto something else that somebody else had out there. That's your opinion, given your expertise, going out and being a net new piece of content. So I think that is, I mean, I think that that's a great item to add in. And LinkedIn is powerful. Video is powerful. Networks and communities are powerful. So let's talk a little bit about, I'm not going to go into tools so much because I haven't gotten a question yet about tools. So I'm not even going to touch on that because I think that there are a lot of great tools out there. If someone has questions about tools, send it our way. We'll have a lot of things coming out after this too to just help you. But let's talk about community a little bit and best practice sharing and why that's so important to create spheres of influence.
I love that you asked that question. I would say one of the biggest benefits of the 20 for MSPs that join forces with us is, you know, the resources that they have at their fingertips, and to be able to share best practices, to ask questions, to say, hey, what CRM does everyone use? And to view each other as collaborators and not as competitors. I think that you need something like that. You know, Tim always says, don't be on an island, you know, whether it's a peer group or something like the 20. The more that you can surround yourself with like-minded MSP owners, the better you're going to do. You know, it's going to save you time and effort from trying out new strategies. You can ask, and, you know, someone may have already tried that and said, hey, it didn't work. But then I also would, you know, step back and say that just because something works really well for one MSP doesn't mean that it's going to work well for you. And you know, the opposite of that is true as well. You know, something may not work. Someone may say, oh, I tried that. You know, I tried this marketing strategy, it didn't work. That doesn't mean that it won't work for you. You know, there are a lot of variables, you know, whether, you know, it's the market that you're in, you know, vertical that you specialize in. But I think that that would be my biggest piece of advice for any MSP is join forces with others.
I would love to tag on to that as well. We work with so many peer groups, and it's just been invaluable, certainly during this time with COVID. I actually was invited by Dan Tomaszewski's Everything MSP group to participate in a daily call that they had on Facebook. And so I did it as many times as I could. It was at noon every day, and just listening to them helped me reframe our messaging, because I was hearing what their struggles were, what their fears were, what their you know, anger was. You know, they were arguing, but they were agreeing. And this is, to me, just another hugely different thing about this channel, is that these little groups are so open to sharing their ideas with each other. It's co-opetition. It's, you know, it's, hey, I did this and it worked. There's plenty of business for all of us. You should try it too. And then they come back and say, well, I tweaked this part of it and it works better for me this way in my marketplace. And then, you know, here, go ahead and you can have the assets that I used. And that just sharing and openness of community is unheard of. I mean, it's just amazing. And it makes my heart grow when I get in these little peer groups to see how they help each other, how they help each other grow, how they coach each other. It's like Montessori school.
And there's so much of that. Like the sharing is big, and the communities are such a huge part of growing quicker. So this whole event's been about pivoting to grow, right? Thinking about your business a little bit differently, finding other resources, thinking about tools and the digital realm a little bit differently, and how it can help you get out there and get awareness. And I think innovation is so incredibly important right now. And what I mean by this too is it's one thing to sort out what marketing is. And I know to some of you that's like, oh, bore, I've been marketing forever, I'm good. So I want to talk about innovation for a second. So many of you have been marketing, which is wonderful. And there are a lot of organizations like the ones here that help with, you know, what we call two-partner marketing. So vendors help you with items that you can have for your through partner, and then they're marketing to you for their own products and services. But the deal is that learning from communities about cool, innovative ideas that are different. It's not just, did you send an email? Did you do SEO? Do you know about social? Not the 101 normal things. It's how do you use those items to create amazing awareness? And that's where innovation comes in. Everyone has all the same tools, social, video, all of it, SEO, SEM, PPC. We need to figure out other neat things to do in order to rise above your competitors, right? That's the goal. And so what Dana's mentioning is something cool that someone did in California. If you're in a peer group with them, they're gonna go, oh, awesome, you're in Maine, like you don't affect my business. Here, have everything that I did, and you can use it over there. And so there's a lot of that. So I would encourage you, talk to your peers, get into some of these groups, and talk to also your vendors. One thing that I don't think enough MSPs understand, and I've been on both sides of the world, both the vendor side and obviously MSP side of the house, but you don't understand how much visibility your vendors have to what's working all over. Right? I mean, a lot of businesses turn to Marketopia for that same thing, because we've got a pulse from a lot of different areas. But what's working? Some cool idea, some direct mail, you know, ABM, account-based marketing strategy, for those of you that don't know what that is, that worked amazing over here. Try it over here. So Crystal mentioned it might not work for everybody. That's true. But the other thing I'll say is that don't discount the duration. So talk to me about duration really quick, Crystal, because I know we see this a lot. Is one direct mail piece to 1,000 people one time going to grow my business?
No, I'm glad you asked that. I think that a lot of people think when it comes to marketing, there's some magic bullet or magic pill, but I would say that consistency is the secret. It's time, effort, consistency, but stay consistent with it, focus on different channels. And that really, is the key.
I think also with digital, you have to be patient because, some digital platforms where you put ads out there, if you get sophisticated enough that you're doing digital advertising, it takes time for those to propagate. And so you really have to be patient with them.
And I would say, again, it all dials back to the value proposition. You can buy reach, you cannot buy resonance. So you want to make sure, especially if you're spending the money and you're promoting your content, that it's going to resonate with your audience.
And in order to know what's going to resonate, and this is again why it's like we talk in full circles because it's so important, you have to listen first. The reason why Dana thinks that MSP group is so great, because MSPs are Dana's target audience. So what is Dana doing and what do you have to do? You have to go where your fish are that you're trying to fish for. And every single place, I live in Florida, so I use this analogy a lot. Your bait is different depending on the type of fish that you want to pull up. Your pull is different based on the kind of fish that you want to pull up. You have to go out different places depending, and you want to make sure that you even know where to go, right? So
your crew is even right?
Exactly. So you've got to understand all those pieces, and it's not that complicated. It's really not. And so you've got to know all those pieces, and then go where those fish are. So if you are in the medical space, or if you are, a real estate agent, real estate agencies or law firms, whatever the verticals are that you target, or even if it's just business, yes, Chamber of Commerce events are amazing. Definitely be part of your chamber, definitely. But there are so many other associations and groups that if you could understand and identify, I call it creating a PR army for yourself. Tell your story to as many people that you possibly can, and they will turn around and tell it to somebody else. And so you need to know what that story is in order to tell it. And then once you begin to tell it, it starts multiplying. And you can tell it on LinkedIn, you can tell it on Facebook, you can tell it by telling the local chamber that you'll come and speak to them for free about security. You could go and speak to the local junior league about security, and you've got a ton of businesses who have all these associations, and you'll go talk to them about why it's important to not click on that email. Why
I would even argue, offering to speak at junior colleges or at high schools about, cybersecurity or, online safety. Your sphere of influence is it's organically going to get to your target audience. If you talk to middle schoolers or high schoolers or college kids, they go back and tell their parents about it. So, there's so many ways you can do it beyond just thinking Chamber of Commerce or, the golf events, which are always really good. But like the one the other day where the person said they did a virtual wine tasting, which was so clever and so cool. There's just so many things out there. There's, never give up. There's many more ideas out there.
And I would say when you do those things and you take advantage of those opportunities, make sure that you're creating content there too. So record video clips, take pictures, use that in your social media. You can use it down the road. If you do a podcast, you can take little video clips from that and your video podcast and use that, over time. The cool thing about content is that it can be repurposed over and over and over.
Yeah. It's evergreen. It's evergreen. So when you're creating anything, you can build it into multiple pieces. So for instance, and I don't know, a lot of you follow like the Gary V's of the world, but there's many others out there who have the same philosophy, which is create something and then break it into little bits and pieces and spread it everywhere. So if you do that, you create something around a topic and then you start to parcel it out. And you parcel it out and you put it all over the place. And all of a sudden you just created, you multiplied that one piece of content because you took a piece and then you kind of told that story differently over here, and a piece and you told it differently over here. And it's engaging. So it's got to be engaging. The other thing that I want to touch on, and then there was a question that I want us to answer, is ensure that you are thinking about what you put out as you would think about what you receive. And what I mean by this and is that think about how you are as a consumer. So the way you enjoy consuming content is the same way someone else is going to enjoy consuming your content. Think about what you share. What actually gets you to push the like? What gets you to write something underneath? Is it someone going, oh, here's the promo of the day? Or is it someone sharing something really valuable that was like, okay, I actually want everyone else to know about that too. So think about where your reach is, you're trying to get out there. When you create that piece, what are you trying to get someone to do when you put that out there? So you're not speaking at them, you're speaking with them, and you're getting them to engage with you as well. So one of the questions that were just asked of us is, what do we think about radio? And I have my own opinions, but I want you guys to answer it first.
It's expensive. I actually think it's great. I mean, I think it's great if you can find the right place and the right message. It's harder to target the audience just because you're blanketing out, and you know, they have some anecdotal information on who their listenership is, but in my experience, it's a lot more of a shot in the dark. That's
what do you think about radio, Crystal?
I agree with that. You know, I would say I don't see the ROI on radio being as high as it's going to be on any type of digital marketing.
Podcasts, on the other hand, are really good.
Absolutely.
So let's dig into this really quick. So we're talking about audio, right? So we're talking about things that are the audio items, and what does that look like? Radio, what was brought up? The first thing I would personally say to radio is it depends on where you're located. So it depends on where you're located. If you're target market and you're maybe in a small town or you're somewhere, and it also depends on the radio station. If you know that there's some great radio station that a lot of your target audience is listening to, back to going where your fish are, if your fish are listening to that radio station, absolutely advertise, because it's going to be worth it. And obviously you need to look at what the cost is on it and understand what that means for your business and your budgets. But if your fish are there, go for it. If your fish are not there and you're just thinking, well, radio, I listen to the radio every day, you have to make sure that who you're trying to target is there so that your messaging can be so precise. Now, the reason why podcasts are so great and what Dana's tagging into is because the fish that are on those podcasts are super, like, it is so targeted. Podcast is, I'm going to go back to my analogy because now I'm just like into it, is chum. So for anyone who understands chum, it is super dense. It has got, you know, people who go to that podcast are because it's a super narrow topic for the most part, right? So, you know, depending on the podcast that you're targeting, but if it's a business owner's podcast and you're targeting business owners of a bunch of industries and they would like to listen to that person talk about whatever it is, you know that if you advertise there, that you've got CEOs' ears. You know, if you advertise over here, it's CEOs in healthcare. Over here, it's on and on and on. And so back to just making sure you know where your audience is. What do you guys think about that?
Totally agree.
I agree with that entirely.
It's so interesting because a lot of times we don't think to reverse engineer ourselves into finding where our people are, finding out, you know, and being innovative about how we get in front of them. But thank you for asking that question on radio. Go ahead, Dana.
I just said one more thing, and that's that radio, you know, you have to have a lot of different spots at a lot of different times because you don't know when your listener is going to be on. With a podcast, you know, I listen to a lot of podcasts and I do it when I'm running or when I'm taking long walks. I can listen to that anytime. So I'm like a focused audience during that time, and I'm choosing the time. So you don't have to worry about blanketing it at a bunch of different times.
And it's recorded, right? So it's out there. Back to what Crystal said, evergreen. Thinking about the where you advertise and the type of content you're advertising around. That individual who's running that podcast or that individual who created a video that went out, they're going to be socializing that again and again and again also. So making sure that, back to the very beginning of what we talked about, of understanding who your audience is and then figuring out how you can get in front of them and map this out. It's not hard. It's really not hard. I would say, you know, the biggest advice I can give is to kind of round out some of the things we were talking about is understand your business value prop. It sounds 101, but I know many of you on the line, if you were really asked and you're being honest, you don't really know, or maybe you haven't revisited it in a long time, or maybe you added in other services just because, and you're kind of, it's a little kludgy right now. So revisit that value prop and make sure that it's sturdy, that everyone in your company knows what it is, and that you're all marching towards that same goal. And then what the ladies are saying, build your content around that and make sure that that content that's created is going to the right places to drive the leads you need in order to hit that lead revenue goal that we chatted about.
I would also say, you know, when it comes to content, to remember that we live in a microwave generation. You know, people are going to scan your content, and if they don't find value immediately, they're going to move on. So you want to keep it concise, keep it fresh, keep it relevant. And again, as you said a minute ago, Andra, think about the content that you want to consume, you know, how you process that. So as you create it, keep that in mind.
I think one other thing that a lot of people make the mistake on is make sure that whatever your message is, whether it's on a podcast, you know, and you've got an ad on there, or whether it's you know, a LinkedIn ad, or just a post that you're driving people to a landing page that matches the messaging of whatever it is the ad was. And that's a mistake I think a lot of people make, that they have like one main landing page that's for a catch-all for everything.
Or worse,
You need to make sure that it matches in messaging and visual to whatever it was that drove them there.
that's a great point. I see a lot of, you know, MSPs putting content out there and they just drive everything to their homepage on the website. So that's great advice, you know, create landing pages, tie that in, you know, with a CTA, a call to action in your content.
Yeah, one tool, there's a tool called Unbounce. I don't know if you guys use Unbounce pages, but it's not a very expensive platform, and it's really, really easy to create landing pages.
There are so many good tools out there, and we didn't dig into that piece. I didn't get any questions on it, but by the way, if you do have questions, tap them in. We're going to take a few more minutes, and then we're going to get into some fun things also for everyone on the line. So I know we could talk about marketing for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, literally. So one of the things, and some of this sounds so simple, but I will tell you that across the board, we see the opportunity for our partners, MSPs, to get better and better and better at it. The CTA attachment. So think about it again. Think about yourself as the consumer that is eating up the content that you're putting out. How would you act or react to it? And are you doing the thing that you wanted the person to do? So oftentimes there is content out there with no CTA. It's just kind of like,
or two or three.
right? Or there's too many things to do and you're kind of like, oh, I'll get back to this. This is work, so I gotta go. So if there's too many things to choose from, it gets overwhelming. So being very clear in your messaging and very engaging in your messaging, and back to listening enough on the front end to understand what you're solving for them, and catching them with that verbiage. Because everyone, back to some of the things Jamie was saying yesterday that I think are so relevant, is it's about that value, but saving someone time or money and adding that value to their life. And if you're not saying the things that you're going to help them with in what you're putting out there, if you're talking about your services, if you're talking about how great your company is because you've been around for 20 years and this is why you should have so much credibility, no one cares. They don't. They'll maybe care about that later in the process when they're getting to know you better, but not as your first touch. Your first touch, and truly the majority of your touches, if not all, should be about who's receiving it, not about you and why you're so great. They'll put those pieces together.
Right, and that's what all your competitors are going to be doing. You know, they're all going in saying the same things. We've been around for 20 years. We're a strategic partner. We're proactive, not reactive. So you want to differentiate yourself and really create messaging. Again, I know I keep saying value proposition, but that's what it all dials back to.
Any last words? And we are going to get into giving away well, actually, we're going to tease the giveaway, and then I think we're going to do it after the happy hour, right, Dana?
Yep.
Okay. So we're going to tease. I'll do a quick tease on the giveaway while the ladies are thinking about their last parting words to you. So stay on, because we are going to have some live music coming your way from the Quarantine Kids. So bring your family around the screen, and we are going to play a couple songs. And after, we're going to give away some amazing giveaways. So the 20 is going to be giving away $1,000 to 2 MSPs. Get ready. It could be you. And Dana will be picking that winner, or those winners, I should say. And then Marketopia, we will be giving away $1,000 of sources to 1 lucky MSP. And while we are doing this, let's talk about our poll. So you might have seen a poll come up. Read it to us, Dana.
I can't. I don't have my glasses on.
You can't? Okay. I've got you. Okay. So this poll, and I want you to participate because this is a good one. So how much have you increased your marketing spend since the beginning of 2020? Have you increased spend by 10 to 20%? Have you increased it by 25 to 50? Have you increased it by 55 to 75? Doubled it, more than doubled it? I've lowered my spend, or you haven't increased your spend at all. So answer what your thoughts are there. And the reason why this one's so important to us is it's interesting to see when catalysts happen in the world, doesn't make any change in our MSP community. I know the want and the desire is out there, which is why there's been so much attendance to this event, but we're interested to see your thoughts. What are some parting words, ladies, that before this comes up?
I just wanted to say, you know, this morning I was getting ready and I was really thinking about this event and sort of the theme and why has it been so successful, and the pivot to grow. What does that mean? You know, in life, for me, any growth that I've actually gone through in my life has been the result of something painful I went through or some sort of change.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was really thinking, like, I wanted to drive that message home, that pivot to grow. If you really do want to grow, that means you have to change something. You have to do something differently. And so you can hear all this great content and spend all this time with us and come out of here inspired and charged, but you have to go do something different if you want to see change, if you want to see growth. And I can't say that strongly enough. You know, Jamie talked about mindset, skill set, tool set, and mindset for me was sort of where this whole thing came to. Like, you know, I've got to get out of that scarcity mindset and get back into growth mindset. And I just really, really want to inspire everyone and encourage everyone to do the same.
So the poll just came up, and the 35% of you is exactly who Dana was speaking to. So 35% of you have not increased your spend at all. There is 24% that increased it a little bit, 18%, which was 20 to 55%, and then it's just small amounts. And then lowered your spend is about 9% of you. But again, the majority of this increased it by about 10 to 20%, but the highest was you did nothing yet. So we got to work on that. That's the goal of the entire event. We got to work on that. So I want Crystal to say one last thing, and then I'm going to introduce our music.
Okay, I love what Dana said. I think it's about change, but even bigger than that, it's about marketing. If you do not market, you will not grow. I mean, that's really all there is to say. I mean, they say, what happens when you don't do marketing? Nothing. I mean, that is exactly it. You have to market. You have to view it as an investment. That is the best thing that you can do for your business.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, ladies, so much for joining us. This was fun, and I know I'm getting even pings on my phone of other questions and things, so we will have to do this again, and I'm sure we will. But thank you both so much, and as you drop off, I'm going to introduce our next guest. So thank you, Crystal. Thank you, Dana. So as you can see here on the screen, this is the name Quarantine Kids, which I love. Hi, Cole. Hi, kids.
Hi.
Hi. So I want to chat with Cole as we start to kick off into our happy hour. So again, Cole, I've known Cole for years. He actually is a local musician here in the Tampa Bay area, and I've been a huge fan literally for years. But let's talk a little bit, Cole, about your pivot. So the reason why I thought it was so cool to bring Cole on is he made a pivot. He's a musician, and he does a lot of amazing shows, and he has a huge following, not only locally, but all around. And he made a pivot in his business. So one, introduce yourself, Cole, and let's talk about your pivot before we get started.
Absolutely. Hey, Andrea. I'm Colt. I'm right here in Tampa, Florida. And for over 15 years now, I've been a solo musician that plays a lot of events, a lot of corporate events, a lot of weddings. And then I have my weekly events at different hotels and restaurants. And this is Bellamy. And this is my son, Beckett. And this is Cash. And when the quarantine started, all my gigs were canceled. All my corporate events were either postponed or just totally canceled. And instead of sulk about it, I decided, how about I start playing with the kids a little bit? And my wife had the idea to put them up on video on Facebook and YouTube. And because of that, we've gotten a lot of recognition and a lot of fans, not only here in the country, but worldwide, which has been just a crazy thing in the past almost 60 days.
It's awesome. I mean, so just to give everyone a little bit of insight to that. So he's being humble in that sense. So his videos have been seen tens of millions of times. So Colt and his family have just been rocking out every single day of quarantine and putting on amazing shows to bring light and shed, some goodness and bring some smiles into the living rooms and computer screens across the world, literally. To the point where once it was sent around tens of millions of times, Ellen, and I'm sure other TV shows have reached out to since then, but Ellen wanted to get to know the Cole and the Quarantine Kids, so she had him on, and they have just a great YouTube channel and some other things as well. So those are up in the chat. Matt put those in the chat. So make sure you follow along. And I'm so proud of what they've done. They definitely made a pivot, and it relates so closely to what each and every one of you are going through as well, to pivot your business to grow. And the growth that Colt is seeing out of this is really ginormous. So I'm so happy about it, and I'm happy for you guys.
Thank you very much. Yeah, to just expand upon that, these two guys have played for about a year on their instruments, and we started playing a song a day. I would teach them a song in the morning, and then we would perform it in the evening. And so Bellamy would tag along with her special sauce that she gave, which was dancing and singing a little bit and shaking the maracas a little bit. Yep. And so, yeah, we would love to show you what we've been doing every single day for the past 60 days now.
I'm going to drop off, and just so everyone knows too, they have a ton of videos out there and they're amazing. Sound quality, we're going to try to get it the best that we can, but they wanted to do this live to bring it to you, and we wanted that as well because it's about being organic. So they're going to kick it off. I'm going to drop off, Colt, and it's all yours.
Okay, sounds good. Ready, guys? You want to give us an introduction, Bellamy?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to sing.
Hey, everybody, real quick family. We're going to sing All Shook Up.
1, 2, 3, 4. Well, the rest of my soul was wrong to me. I'm itching like a man on a fuzzy tree. My friends say I'm acting tired as a bug. I'm in love. I'm all shook up. My hands are shaking and my knees are weak. I can't seem to stand on my own feet. Ooh, do you think when you have such luck? I'm in love. I'm all shook up. Ooh, yeah, yeah. Please don't ask me what's on my mind. I'm a little mixed up, but I feel fine. When I get that look that I love best, my heart beats so it scares me to death when she touches my hand. Until I got my lips to like the volcano is hot. I'm proud to say that she's my first cup. I'm in love. I'm all shook up. On my tongue gets tired and I try to speak. My inside shaking like a leaf on the tree. There's something uncure, but it's not even mine. Have that girl that I love so fine. She touched my hand, but I feel like I got her lips like a volcano is hot. I'm proud to say that she's my buttercup. I'm in love. I'm all shook up.
Bye.
No, not yet. Bellamy usually says goodbye at the end of our videos, but we got one more song for you. So I wanted to just say that this thing came together kind of organically as well, just like you guys were talking about coming organically. And when we picked this song to do, Cash said, "Can I start it off on the guitar?" And I said, "Absolutely, you can." So this has been a favorite at a lot of the gigs that I play. It's kind of become the new Brown Eyed Girl. Everybody requests it, and and we're gonna play it for you now. This is called Wagon Wheel. You ready? Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. South to the land of pine. I'm coming my way into North Carolina. Set up the road, praying that I see headlines. I'm heading down the coast at 17 hours. Maybe the blue gate dog will rise. Hoping for a rally, I can see my baby tonight. So rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, till you make me feel. Mama, rock me. Oh, rock me, mama, like a wind in the rain. Rock me, mama, like a southbound train. Mama, rock me. Yeah. From the wall, up in New England, I was born to be a fiddler in an old time streaming. Baby plays the guitar, I think the band tonight. money playing poker. I love to leave, but I ain't turning back. And I know I have no more. So I keep mama like a playing with you. I keep mama getting paid. Time to run away. Oh, I keep mama like a wind in the rain. I keep mama like a southbound train. Time to run away. Walking through the South, out of Roanoke, caught a trucker out of Philly, had a tasty coat. And he's heading west toward the Cumberland Gap to Johnson City, Tennessee. Yeah, I gotta get him football, get for the sun. Give my baby all my need, and I know that she's my only one. If I die proud, yes, I will die free. So I need mama like a wagon wheel. I need mama anyway you feel. Hey, I'm rocking. Oh, I need mama like a wind in the rain. I need mama like a southbound train. Hey, I'm rocking right here. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you guys. That was so great. We appreciate it, Cole. Thanks, kid.
Thank you.
That was amazing.
I hope the sound was okay, man.
Hey, man, we rolled with it. I think everybody loved it. All the comments,
Awesome.
everybody loved it. So
Thank you so much, buddy. Have a great night. Thanks for letting us do it.
yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. I hope I'm not on mute. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
So you guys are amazing, and I'm seeing the comments scroll through, and we the sound was okay, and that is okay, and so we rolled with it, and you guys are phenomenal, and so it's like so cute, so cute, so cute. You know, I'm gonna roll this back to something that one of our very first speakers said, and in the very beginning of this, he gave the top 5 things that you need to do in order to grow through this right now, and one of it was be a leader. And one of the things that I think is so cool is that, oh my gosh, it's like making me tear up. So sorry, I'm like crying on Pivot to Grow. So one of the things I think is so cool is that one of the things that Terry had mentioned is that you need to be a leader not only in business, but then also to your family at home. And I think it's cool because you are such a great bookend to this, because you are doing both. You're being a leader in your business, and you're being a leader in family, and showing your kids that, look, no matter what we're faced, we're going to get through it, and we're going to be amazing, and we're going to pivot, and we're going to succeed. And it is just being innovative on how to do that. So I am just so proud of you guys, and thank you so much for just bringing some light and shining it into this event for everyone. And you're awesome. So we wish you the absolute best.
Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate it. Thanks for letting us do this. Say thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thanks, guys. I love the last. Yeah, no, I mean that was great.
Is so cute.
It's good. It was very touching, right? Especially so much going on in the world. It was so nice to just kind of take a deep breath and just enjoy that. That was perfect. That was
Absolutely.
Really fun.
And I ugly cried for all of us, so that's worth something, right? Oh gosh.
You couldn't do anything ugly.
Gosh, I literally am like, I did not mean to get choked up. I just think it's so beautiful, and I think that it's such a great testament to what everyone needs to do in life and in business is just figure it out and be positive and push through and do it with the best of intentions, and everyone rises around you. So I think that that's absolutely beautiful. And Dana is popping back on because we're going to do some fun things. So Dana is going to do Dana is going to do our wheel of names.
Oops.
So you will see up on the screen after we read all her emails. You're gonna see,
Sorry about that.
You're going to see up on the screen a wheel of names. And so what we're going to do
Now
is
you're going into PowerPoint.
I know. Hang
Wait,
on.
what did you say about me in that email?
What?
This is an organic event, everyone. So Dana is putting everyone in the wheel of names, and we are going to start to do some of our giveaways. So it's going to be again, back to, I'm just thankful. I'm going to just say something really quick. I'm thankful to everyone who's been a part of this event. So the idea of the event was to do something different, unique, do it in bite-sized pieces, and we listened, and we knew that we didn't want to be overwhelming, and we wanted to just ensure that we were doing something of value, and this is what it's become. And so needless to say, it's awesome, and I'm so thankful to every speaker from Terry who kicked us off to everyone in between, and it's just been amazing. And so now we're going to do some fun giveaways before you get on with your Fridays. So Dana, very first $1,000 prize given away by the 20, who is our lucky winner?
Here we go.
Dun, dun, dun. Who is it? It's so tiny. I don't know if
I know him.
Who is it?
Sebastian.
Sebastian. I love it. Okay, so we're gonna have to screen capture that and send it to Sebastian. So Sebastian, congratulations. The 20 has been a great sponsor of this event, and you are going to receive $1,000, and we will get that to you. For the second $1,000 prize from the 20.
This is the most names we've ever had on the wheel of names.
That's almost 700 names.
There has been so much attendance. It's been absolutely awesome. Who is the next winner?
Bill Chang from Go Summit.
Yeah. Way to go. Awesome. So we will get this to you. Each of you, again, I just want to recap, just won $1,000 by the 20. And I'm just thrilled to be able to obviously announce those names and that the 20 was involved, as well as the rest of our sponsors. So thank you to each and every one of them. Matt, what were you just about to say?
Well, I was just wondering, isn't Marketopia giving something away?
We are giving away a prize. So a couple things. So let me just mention two things right now. Okay, so one, this is something that two things that was inspired even through the event, and it's about supporting your growth. So we saw these numbers come through this week, and we saw, even the one today, Dana, that many haven't changed much with marketing. And so my goal, especially in Marketopia, is to start to catapult some of that and get those who have been on the line, these 700 MSPs, get you to that next level. So I want to make sure that you are doing that and able to do that. So I want to give $1,000 away of marketing services to a lucky MSP. And I had said that it was the MSP who is utilizing our hashtag the most. And I might have to research this though, everyone.
I sent you a text.
You did? Okay, so Matt already did the work to see who has been utilizing the hashtag the most.
Do you want me to just tell you, or?
Let me see here. Hold on. Here we go.
Don't steal her thunder. She wants to announce it.
Is that 450?
Okay, wait, let me see if I don't see it, Matt. Where did you text this?
At 450.
At 450, okay. So I don't see it. You're gonna have to steal the thunder because, oh no, wait, I see it. Okay, got it. So the person who has been using the hashtag the most, and I'm trusting that Matt is counting up all the hashtags, because this is going to come back to me, Matt, if someone else used it one more time than this person. So the person who used PIVOT2GROW hashtag, and the reason why I did that, guys, is because I want to make sure that you're doing what we're sharing. So it has nothing to do with PIVOT2GROW, nothing to do with Marketopia. It's can I get you to go out and just start posting things? And the only way I can track it is if I give you a hashtag. So the person that is going to get $1,000 of Marketopia services to utilize any way you please is Pablo from Texas Systems Group. I know Pablo is on here too.
Yeah, and I think him and his wife were posting, so they really covered the bases.
So I love that, and I'm literally, as we're sitting here, I'm seeing him go ping, 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 ping. So I'll look and see, and I may, if someone else was out there too, and if Matt didn't count properly, I will make it right. Don't you worry. So Pablo, thank you for doing your part and getting your content out there, and I will ensure that gets to you. And one of the other things that I'm going to share really quickly, and this is only for every single person on the line. If you are really taking marketing seriously, and I just got inspired to do this literally on this last session, you can ask Matt, because Dana and Matt are like, what's she about to say? So if you are interested in actually taking your marketing seriously, and you are really looking to take a next step, if you use, I'm doing kind of like a secret code word just so that my sales team will understand this. If you reach out to Marketopia just to understand our services, I will give you 50% off of the first 3 months, just so that you're only paying half of what it would be for whatever you buy. I don't even care what it is, just because I don't want the financial element to be what's holding you back. So I've
Can I take advantage of that deal, Andra?
That's a good point.
And this can be for anything. So when you reach out to my sales team, I want you to tell them, use a code. They're going to be like, Andra, what's this code I'm getting? I haven't even talked to them about this. So use the hashtag. I just got inspired on this call to do this. So tell them when you talk to my sales team, hashtag PIVOT2GROW, and they're going to utilize what I just shared with you of just growth percentages off. So I will reiterate that back so that you can hear it. If you are reaching out to them, use hashtag PIVOT2GROW, and you will get a half off of the first 3 months of anything you're doing with us. So I am so excited for everyone on the line because you're taking this seriously. My sales team is literally like, really? What are we talking about now, Andra? But we've learned a lot this week, guys. We've learned so much, and I'm invigorated, and I know Matt and Dana are too, to just want to continue to support you and want to continue to grow you, which is why I'm just like throwing promos around right now with secret hashtag codes. But my goal is, and our goal is, to continue to grow your business. So I want to say thank you to everybody who's been on, all of our speakers, to 20, to Channel Pro, and name the MSP groups. I know they're sitting up here, but I want Matt to just talk a little bit.
Yeah, ITO Compass and everything MSP, and I can't let Marketopia just totally one up ID Agent at the end right there. With
okay,
this.
Hey, I'm all about this. This is unplanned.
Now, hold on. The difference is you're the owner of the company, so you can make up things right as you want. So I can't make up anything like that. So, but if you're interested in our services, if you do hashtag Matt Solomon in the email to us, I don't know what it's going to give you. We'll figure something out. We'll figure something out afterwards. I promise you, you'll get added value.
Matt will personally do a webinar to your customers with you. How about that?
That's fair.
I love it. So I'm obviously we're having way too much fun doing this. People are looking at us like, what are they even talking about? So we are so appreciative.
Still on?
Each and every, a lot are actually. So we're very appreciative to each and every one of you. This has been an awesome event. More to come. And so a couple of just quick housekeeping things. So one, I've gotten the best notes from everyone. I mean, obviously, you know that both of our companies are always about having growth events through the year, about how we can help from so many different directions. So give back your thoughts and feedback on this and any other things that you'd like to see. We are going to be giving out, the video recaps next week. We're going to have the recorded versions out there for you because you were registered. Not everyone's getting them, only everyone who registered. So that will be for you. And then if you have other questions, if we didn't answer something and you've got questions about something, share that with us and we'll do exactly what we say. We'll create content on it. We'll do a video on it. We'll put a piece out there and help you with whatever it is you're struggling with. That is our entire goal. So definitely share how we can help with you.
Yeah, and I would just reiterate, and we'd love to personally hear any feedback that we can share to the higher ups, because we really want to try to bring something like this again. And it's so funny. I think about like Andrew, when we started talking about this, it wasn't that long ago.
No.
And so like MSPs, I'm not saying you have to do an exact pivot to grow, but you can put things together pretty quickly if you partner with people. And I think that's another thing is you benefit from multiple resources, and that's why Dan talked about joint venture opportunities and teaming up with people. So that I just think that's a testament to what we did, because we wouldn't have pulled it off so quickly without each other. So
yep, absolutely. Any last parting words, Dana?
I just want to say it was really, really fun doing this with you guys. I can't wait for the next one, and I learned a lot. I'm a producer now.
Absolutely. Hey, and it's about partnership. And one of the things that we will be putting out is a case study on how we pivoted to even create this event. So be on the lookout for that, because there are things that we haven't even talked about that we did behind the scenes to bring this to you. And it's actually a testament to everything we've talked about. We did a pivot to put on PIVOT2GROW. So thank you to everyone on behalf of obviously Marketopia, ID Agent, all the sponsors. This has been pretty awesome. And it is awesome because all of you were involved and have been a part of it.
One more parting note is that, yes, we will be sending out all of the recorded sessions. Yes, you will get the PowerPoints from those who are willing to share them. And we had a writer who took notes and took like the top tips from each of the sessions. And we will be putting together our poll results, those top tips, and some other information that we think is going to be a great report out on this event in the next couple weeks. But you should get an email with the recordings by Wednesday of next week.
Yes. So thank you for all of the notes too. I'm seeing it come through. This is just going to make our hearts burst. We hope that you had a phenomenal Pivot to Grow 2020 and that you are just extremely inspired to go do what it takes to grow your business. So thank you, everyone. Have an amazing weekend, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.